Good evening. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Could I have quiet in the audience, please? Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our December 7th, 2021 City Council meeting. It is 8:02 p.m., 7:02 p.m. So we can need to change that. Meeting is now in session. Tonight's invocation will be led by Pastor Samuel Martinez from Amazing Love Ministries, and I will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. All rise, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Heavenly Father, as we gather here on this day of infamy, we remember those of our dear fellow Americans, Father, who gave their lives that we may be able to enjoy the freedoms that we have today. And Heavenly Father, we remember the words also of Solomon, who said, "In all you're getting, get understanding." So we pray for wisdom and understanding for our mayor, city council, and all those in authority in our city, and all those that will be conducting the business of our city. And Heavenly Father, as we get closer and closer to Christmas, I remember all those individuals in our city, Father, that perhaps have suffered loss this year through the death of a loved one, the death of a business, or, Father, having lost their employment or health in any shape, form, or manner. Father, you are the Father of mercies and the God of all comfort, and we pray that you comfort them. And we pray, Father, that this Christmas, in spite of everything that's going on around us, Father, with the pandemic, that you'll help us to have the best Christmas that we've had in years. Thank you that you are the Father of mercies and the God of all comfort. God bless America, and God bless our great city of West Covina. In Jesus' name.
Amen. Everybody, please face the flag. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Assistant City Clerk, roll call, please.
Good evening, Mayor. Councilmember Tabatabai.
Present.
Councilman Wu.
Here.
Councilwoman Lopez Viado.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Diaz.
Here.
Mayor Castellanos.
Here. And City Attorney, is there anything to be reported out of closed session?
Nothing, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. That brings us to a presentation we have to the West Covina Bruins Junior Pee Wee Blue Division.
Testing.
I'd like to invite Jorge Ortega, the league president, and Andrew Nunez, head coach, up here, please. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here. The Junior Pee Wee Blue team had a season of 10-0 going undefeated. In addition to being undefeated, the team won Scholar Athletes, having the highest team GPA in the conference. Applause for that. Good job, guys. 21 of the 29 athletes currently have a 3.3 GPA or higher. Good job. So for Andrew Nunez, head coach of the West Covina Bruins Junior Pee Wee Blue. And for Jorge Ortega, congratulations. And let's have a photo op here.
Speak. Did they speak?
Yeah, you may. Actually, would you guys like to say a couple words? Who would like to go first, actually?
All right.
There you go.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council, for inviting us out here. This is a very, very special occasion, especially for us as West Covina Bruins. This particular team, like you said, went undefeated the whole season. I think only one team scored 6 points on them the whole season. But I think the most important part of it is that we continue to grow student athletes. Without the coaching staff and the athletic directors pushing the kids, the parents coming out, dedicating their time and believing in our coaching staff, believing in our program, we can have that success that we continue to have. Again, Coach Nunez has done a phenomenal job with the boys, both on and off the court. And, I mean, it's beyond words what the appreciation that we have as an organization for the team. But, again, thank you guys. Again, good job, boys.
All right. I'm going to try to make this quick. That probably means I'm not. But more than anything, hey, this is awesome. Thank you, guys. But I couldn't have done it without my coaching staff right here. By far, the hardest working staff. And if I was by myself, I definitely wouldn't be standing right here with this or with those medals around those kids' necks. And shout out to all those kids right there who came to practice every day, didn't complain, still got all their stuff done at school. And if you weren't doing good in school, you know for a fact we would sit you down at practice and we would make sure you got work done. But more than anything, this is for you guys out here, and I'm glad you guys are being recognized because we wouldn't have won this without you guys right here, too, and all the parents. Thank you for everything, and thanks for putting up with me. Thank you, coaches. I really appreciate you guys. I love you guys. You guys definitely killed it. And, yeah, that 6 points, yeah, that sucks.
Thank you, guys. And, you know, what we'll do, too, let me call up the assistant coaches. Okay, let's do a pick. And for the assistant city coaches, can we have J.C. Alcantara come up, please? Welcome. And Francisco Dialba. Andres Estrada. Jorge Felix. Raymond Martinez. And Jesse Rodriguez. Congratulations to all the coaches. Let's get a picture with the coaches and assistant coaches, then we'll call up the players. You guys want to spread out here? Let's stay up here if you guys want to join the players. Let's call up the players now. The first player I'm going to call up is Jeremiah Alcantara. Good job. You could go this way. Next one is Nicholas Bañuelos. Good job. Go this way. Next player is Ty Camus. Good job. Our next player is Evan Carlos. Our next player is Mario Cervantes. Not here? Okay. Our next player is Raymond Cruz III. Good job. Our next player is Jeremy De Alba. Good job. Josiah De Alba. Next player, Kaleo Estrada. Good job. Our next player, Carter Felix. Our next player, Justin Fuller. Next player, Zachary Garza. Next player, Jaden Harris. Next player, Isaiah Hernandez. Next player, John Michael Herrera Ojeda. Next player, Evander Martinez. Next player, Messiah Nunez. Next player, Nathan Partida. Next player, Isaiah Ramos. Good job. Next player, Nathan Reynolds. Not here, that we'll hold that one. Next player, Damian Rivera. Next player, Jaden Rodriguez. Next player, Marcus Segala. Next player, Andrew Solis. Next player, Nathaniel Solorio. And that's all, so we'll hold this one as well for Jermaine Thomas. And thank you all. Let's bring it in. Try to scrunch up in the middle here. Let's do this photo. Good job, boys. Good job, guys. Do it again. 1, 2, 3. Bruins! Good job, guys.
Hold on.
One more.
Hold on, we need
It's Bruins.
this other one up here. Hold on a second. Okay. All right, so now we're gonna really do it, okay? We're really gonna do it. That was the practice one. Okay, ready?
Let's get loud, boys.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Good job, guys. Keep it up.
Wait, you came in.
You're welcome. Thank you, guys. We'll split it up. Yep. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Lisa. Good job, guys.
Gonna be empty now.
Get them on the caution.
See you again next year.
Good job, guys. Keep it up. That was great achievement by them. Like to see them keep it up. And now as they're exiting, we will move on to oral communications. And if anyone would like to address the council, please fill out a yellow speaker card and submit it to the Deputy City Clerk. Any emails received by 5 p.m. have been posted to the city's website, and all emails are part of the public record. Assistant City Clerk, how many speaker cards do we have?
Mayor, we have 7 speaker cards.
7 speaker cards, okay. Then let's
We have 8 speaker cards.
8 now, okay.
8.
We shall begin with the oral communications.
Our first speaker is Frank Williams, followed by Herman, followed by Mike Greenspan. Mr. Williams.
Oops, dropping everything. Well, that was an exciting presentation, and I come here wearing several different hats, not just being a resident and a small business owner, but a prideful volunteer, chair of the Youth Sports Council for the city of West Covina, and a board of director for the West Covina Bruins for more than 24 plus years. I'll tell you, I first want to just acknowledge city council, then Mayor Leti Lopez Viado, and of course, all of the council. Was the first time we had all 5 city council and mayor leadership representing at the Cortez Park, and it was really phenomenal that day to have all of you out there, and we really do appreciate that, because it's like anything else. With immense gratitude, we get to share a lot and get to see everybody, and you get to see all the efforts of all the volunteers that are going. Despite a challenging 2020, and in a lot of leagues throughout all of the San Gabriel Valley have had a lot of financial challenges and just the challenges with dealing with COVID and those families, just like our own family that's been impacted with COVID, and the many citizens of West Covina. We're prideful that it took a great deal of effort and work with volunteers, but with heart and with determination, they were able to go out there and, be out there for the children of West Covina. And, it's almost like, it's just really prideful when you see that many people moving in the same direction. Being a father of 5 and having kids play football, we always say nothing more exciting than 11 men going in the same direction. Well, it's nothing more exciting than seeing almost 300 families going in the same direction. We have student athletes, and today we were able to see the heart and dedication of one team. But I'm gonna just give you some quick accolades to make sure that we don't forget all the teams. So of nine teams that played this year, 8 went to the playoffs. We had 5 go to the semifinals, 3 go to the finals, and we ended up with 2 champions. And of course, you just saw one of the undefeated champions. But starting with the most important part of our program, with being student athlete, we want to acknowledge the Junior Pee Wee Blue team that you just saw out here, but we also want to acknowledge the 2 other scholastic teams. The Pee Wee division, the Junior Midget Cheer division also were the scholarship, which means that they held the highest grade point average throughout the whole conference of the San Gabriel Valley. So on top of that, we had over 151 scholars, which mean that of all the students of the participated in the program, 151 had to maintain at least a 3.3 grade point average to get that scholarship. So we're going to acknowledge the other 2 teams later in the beginning of the year because we didn't want to bring the whole league in one presentation. It would be a little bit. But I just want to just kind of, come back to, I guess, ground level, because we're so excited and prideful for, the work that Coach Nunez and his staff. See, what was also missing as part of the staff was a very important part, which was the athletic directors. So they work, Mrs. Segala was the one that actually did the recommendation. They do all the paperwork and help assist the coaches so the coaches can coach, and they do that. So there's a big part of the team that also wasn't able to attend. So I want to give a shout out to also the board of directors for the West Covina Bruins that has a number of countless hours. And then President George Ortega, he is so modest. I always say, we were always joking about him being around that park so long. We were about ready to start charging him rent. I mean, he was just there almost every day, day in and day out, leading by example, by doing the countless, the hard work and the heavy lifting, and having all the volunteers show up by example. So I don't want to, go without that, because I know he's very modest, and we want to thank his wife, Patty, that gives us to him and the benefit for the children. We have a lot of volunteers that give their heart and soul to our programs. And as Youth Sports Council Chair, I just want to also take this moment as we finish in the time that I have allotted to give an acknowledgement to all the programs right now that have been able to find their destiny, find their passion, and get back out in the field. And, we have the Little League season. We have the end of the year preparation. We're working with a lot of the different the leagues to get their stuff together and looking for an exciting 2022. And with the leadership that we have here with City Council, we look forward to building these programs that we have here at West Covina. And again, with my last few seconds, I just have to say thank you so much for all of your dedication and support. And go Bruins!
Thank you.
Thank you.
Herman, followed by Mike Greenspan, followed by Elsie Messman.
So here we go again, and I say again. Once again is once again, but to introduce an ordinance that prohibits and censors one's right to speak out against local government is being hindered. And you fools that pay taxes like myself are being deprived the right to say what we got to say against the morons, the idiots that we delegate on our behalf to make our city a better place to live. Now, if you go into the agenda, we have item 11, bullshit about homelessness. Now, homelessness has been basically an issue of careers. And what do I mean by that? Well, we see how poverty pimps pimp out those in our community to suffer. And how are they suffering? Look on your streets. Look at the restaurants you go to, and you see your brother and sister, your neighbor and friend, begging for a handout. But yet our local government denies them that right to have a home. Not a tent, not a part-time housing condition, but a full-time housing situation. And so this evening, while I was in the city of Downey, introducing 42 U.S.C. 1983 and politely saying it to the mayor there, where is housing? Really, does free speech ultimately, unlawfully act as a way of punishment from you, local officials? Is that the way you want to betray yourselves? Not believers in the First Amendment, but yet you want to salute a flag and put on this pony show? Because I don't think the American people want to believe in you anymore, or any of your idealistic, stupilistic, ignoritic, shithole excuses for homelessness. And I put it very frank, because I'm tired of seeing it. The same way most of us are tired of this COVID bullshit. It's nothing but bullshit. Because if I'm still standing here after being introduced to you guys about a year and a half ago, when you destroyed my vehicle out in the parking lot because you got upset with me, I brought you guys a better excuse for being a better person, right? Now you're under an FBI investigation. All of you. And you should have thought twice before trying to threaten me, intimidate me, and scare me. Because I'm still number one. Number one at coming here and exercising that right on behalf of every Angelino, every person living in West Covina who are tired of this relentless bullshit of homelessness. So you could do all your flattery talk, you could do all your PR bullshit, but we're fucking tired of it. And we want to see immediate change, drastic change. Because government cannot punish an action. However, if we believe it, they want to take your belief away that you are a person. And how have they done that? Well, now we have a so-called, what? African COVID? What the fuck is that? African COVID? No such thing. And it came from what? People with AIDS? Well, I thought AIDS and COVID were totally two different things. Although they're airborne, and they do attack your immune system, and they will definitely kill your ass if you don't get cured or corrected from your own doing. And I'm not going to be the first time saying this, but sometimes God hates homosexuality. And let's be honest. But I'm going to read into the record this letter I received from George Gascon, District Attorney. Dear Mr. Herman, after reviewing your letter dated September 13, 2021, we will await the presentation of the investigation by the Downey Police Department to our office for consideration for the verbal altercation by the mayor of Downey. That fat fucking cunt had the nerve to pull up to the curb and threaten me. Her and her stupid fuck husband. Fuck you guys.
Mike Greenspan, followed by Elsie Messman, followed by John Shoemaker.
Sir, thank you.
Mike Greenspan, a Bruin butt-kicking Florida Gator, those UCLA Bruins that just can't play basketball on the hardwood against us Gators. And congratulations to this Bruin team. It didn't cost $12 million in taxpayer money for a head coach to get a championship, unlike the UCLA Bruins, with our money that could be going to homeless support services. Now, there's a couple things I think we need to talk about, and hopefully time will give me a chance. First of all, I wanted to thank the pastor for mentioning Jesus, because comes this Christmas, if he shows up at Tim Tebow's Timuquana Country Club in Jokesonville, Tim Tebow will bodily throw him from the dining room because Jesus is Jewish. I'm sorry, Mr. Christ. Christmas dinner is only for our Christian members at this country club. Now, we have a library issue. You're paying for a library, and you're not getting to use it. Okay, I get it, the renovations. I sure hope you guys on your renovations are a lot better than Downey. Downey was supposed to be completed last October. Funny, October went all the way through the end of May. And I asked the person, are you sure it's going to be finished in October? I asked twice. They said yes. I guess they just don't know how to read a calendar. But here we have a library. You're paying a tax. Mr. Herman pays the tax. You pay the tax on the library. It's on your property tax bill. And you should be able to use it, minus the reconstruction or renovations. But you haven't. For 15 months, you paid on that tax and could not use that library, not due to renovation, but through this made-up COVID stuff. And instead of, they should have not charged you on your property tax bill. It's a library tax. And now you're only able to half use it. So everybody who pays the library tax in L.A. County should get 1 1/4 years rebate on their tax bill. And since it's only being half used, and when I go to the library in San Fernando, the county library, it's like a do-si-do. I can't get anywhere near the person, so she'll help me out on the copy machine, but then I have to stand back so she could do it. They put in these ultra-modern computer thing to complicate it. Now, where did I get this idea that the tax should be rebated? From a book I actually got at the county library system. The book is called Black Like Me, written by John Howard Griffin. In the 60s, he got his skin pigmentation made to a black man so he could go through the Deep South and see what it was like being a black man. And he gets to Biloxi, Mississippi. And somebody there, I'm reading on the account from November 19th, out of context, because I don't have time to read it all, he pointed out the injustice of this policy because black people weren't allowed to use the beaches, since the upkeep of the beaches comes from a gasoline tax. In other words, every time we buy a gallon of gas, we pay a penny to keep the beach up so the whites can use it, he said. He added that some of the local Negro citizens were considering a project to keep an account of the gasoline they purchased throughout the year, and at the end of that time, demand from the town fathers a refund on their gasoline tax. That's where I got the idea. Now, call up that Broad Hilda Solis on the Board of Supervisors. Her downtown number is 213-974-4111 and say, I want my money back for loss of use. If you're in the landlord business, you have loss of use of the pool or other amenities, you are entitled to some form of a rebate. And that's what I'm basically saying is that Broad Hilda should be giving you folks a refund. Now, it would be a clerical headache to unassess what was assessed, but it'll be a bigger headache when enough people get together and sue the county. Then your lawyers are going to be using taxpayer time, taxpayer money, and these cradle-to-gravers who can't work
Mr.
in
Herman,
private
please stop
practice.
disrupting. Continue, please.
And these cradle-to-gravers who can't work in private practice will be trying to defend the county. I hope they sue the pants off them.
Time.
Elsie Messman, followed by John Shoemaker, followed by Jim Grivich. Ms. Messman, you want me to pass these out?
Council staff and everyone here tonight and at home. My name is Elsie Messman. Congratulations to our new mayor. Hopefully, we will hear him speak, as he's been on the Planning Commission and 3 years on the council, so a second on the motion will not be enough. You and the council must remember that you all work for the citizens of West Covina. We don't work for you. Just to let people know, the Sportsplex event was catered by a restaurant from Pasadena. And you're telling us to shop in West Covina? Something's wrong somewhere. My first council meeting I attended was in December 2006 when Tui, Lane, Hernandez, Sanderson, and Hereford were on council. They used to listen to the residents and then make their decisions. Now council thinks they know it all, and they ignore the public's comments. Remember, there are some knowledgeable people that know a lot more than you five do. A perfect example is 10-10-10. Was that anyway thought through? Really? Do we really need 10 code enforcement officers, 10 police officers, and 10 maintenance workers? Was that discussed with the supervisors that are in charge? Our city manager just approved $27,300 to a firm to find code enforcement officers. All he did was pass the buck. Another example is Merchants Landscaping. Was that put out for a bid for the Sportsplex? The city just paid $50,000 for landscaping. Why is there so much cheaper than the other companies? Are we paying the proper wage, or are we not doing what the other companies did, or maybe both? I asked about Transtec Engineering. Seems like they are running the city. I asked what they were doing, and to my surprise, I got a list of employees and what they were making, all charged to the general fund. Example, building official, staff engineer got paid $140 an hour. Another plan checker staff engineer got paid $133 an hour. This plan checker worked 127 and a half hours at $133 an hour, making $16,957 in 1 month for the company. For May and June, we paid $379,786 to Transtec. Has anyone checked to see if it was cheaper the way we were doing it before? I don't think the city manager is looking for it because it isn't. It's easier for him. It's easier for him just to farm it out to somebody else. He now has 2 assistant city managers. This one coming from the city of La Puente, where he once worked. Looks like the pay scale below the assistant manager was not enough for that person. At the rate we are going now, this one-time money that we got will be gone, and we can look back to square one. Broke. Thank you.
John Shoemaker, followed by Jim Grivich, followed by Nick Dakota.
Good evening. Just wanted to go over a couple things. One thing that the city did right, or at least one of the departments, was the newest captain. Too bad he wasn't promoted a year ago, since he was the best qualified. So at least we have one that can do a job. I'm going to ask a question that I'm perplexed. I've worked in accounting and finance for 40 years, over 40 years. Have a degree, have an MBA, taught accounting and finance for 10 years, University of Redlands and University of Phoenix. CPA, CGMA, MBA, all those wonderful things. And at no time, in when I was in the software industry, I did projects for some of the largest corporations in the world. Some of the largest. And at no time did I ever come across somebody when they asked me, can you do this project? Didn't ask, by the way, how much is it going to cost? You know, sometimes it was a couple days worth of work, so it was a few $1,000s. But they asked, how much is it going to cost? And how long is it going to take? But we come up with the wild idea, or an idea of having the West Covina Health Department. And nobody asked, how much is it? Well, somebody did ask how much it was going to cost. One council member did. Matter of fact, one council member even had a study from another city that said it was going to cost $60 to $90 million. And at no time has any of the other four, including, and plus our city manager, come back and said, no, this is how much it's going to cost. Matter of fact, I'm still waiting from the February meeting where he was going to pencil out and report to the public how much staff time and what the cost was going to be. And he was going to do it by the next meeting. Maybe he's playing the old word game. You go, you know, well, where is it? And he goes, well, I said the next meeting. This is this meeting. It's not the next meeting. So you come to that meeting. He goes, no, this is this meeting. I said the next meeting. You know? We take over what was called Big League Dreams. And nobody said this, how much it's going to cost to get it up and running and what it's going to take to get it up and running. Never. Now, I just don't understand that. You know, since it's on the bio, you know, our mayor has a small business. When you bought the house, did you ask how much it cost? Or did you say, oh, well, just bill me? When you had it remodeled, did you go, how much is it going to cost? Or just do it. I don't care. You know, if you did, then I understand why you know, are coming up with some of the reasons that, you know, some of the things you do now. You know, all of you in one form or another have said you're going to be fiscally responsible. Now, like I said, in my 40-plus years and all my degrees and all my experience, your definition of fiscal responsibility must be different than everybody else's in this room, because they always ask how much it's going to cost and how long is it going to take. Everybody. So maybe you can enlighten us with that information. What do you define as being fiscally responsible? A couple of years ago, spending $116 million when you only brought in $100 million? I don't know. That's not fiscal responsibility. Voting for a 12% pay raise when we didn't have the money? I don't know if that's fiscal responsible. At least it's not in my definition. Maybe my definition's too narrow. You know, balanced budgets. You know, I looked at what that was, and it basically says you're spending, the income matches the expenditures. Well, you're using reserves, so that's not it either. So I was wondering if you could let us know what your definition of it is. I mean, I think it's kind of funny when I look at different things on social media. Certain members of this council spent more time on the median on Azusa than they have giving information about the health department. So, you know, I'm just confused, you know. So if you can enlighten us on what your definitions are, then, you know, maybe a lot of these questions go away. That's all I'm wondering about. Thank you.
Jim Grivich, followed by Nick Dakota, followed by R. Robinson.
Item 11 on your agenda is kind of routine, adopting a contract extension for the homeless project. I would rather talk about the bigger picture on that, which is the homeless issue. A few years ago, the citizens of the County of Los Angeles voted $1.2 billion to help with the homeless problem. As a result, the number of homeless in the county has grown from 40,000 to 70,000. Obviously, the money didn't help. This council, in cooperation with some other cities, funded a project to try to help people find homes. As a result, 16 people found homes. I'm not sure how many people there are in those 5 cities homeless. I'm going to guess 1,000. That's not success. That's failure. So I'm not going to dwell on that part. I'd like to dwell on a solution. I've been thinking about it for quite a while, and I happened to read an article by a person named Keenan that had a rather elegant solution that would deal with the issue. The problem with things like that is that government oftentimes doesn't want to pursue that because there's not a whole lot in it for government. So I'm not sure how far this will go, but I think it's a solution. First, you offer each homeless person $10,000 cash. All they have to do is sign a contract and agree to get on a bus and go to a new place to live that's far away from the city. And this new place will be unique because there will be no access to drugs, alcohol. There will be mental help, what we used to call an institution, but this is voluntary because the homeless person signs a contract for $10,000 to go through this. The vast majority of homeless people are either an addict, an alcoholic, or mentally ill. The program that exists now doesn't do anything about the real problem. The solution is kind of simple. You spend 6 months in this new place. You get clean and sober. If your mental illness doesn't get corrected, you can stay there indefinitely. The idea here is to work on the real problem. I hate seeing billions of dollars wasted. I would hope, and this would cost a small fraction of that, the one I'm talking about. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nick Dakota, followed by R. Robinson, followed by William Elliott.
Is Nick still here? Has Nick left the building?
Okay. R. Robinson, followed by William Elliott, followed by David Enriquez.
Good evening, Council. Bill Robinson, resident. Today, 80 years ago, the Japanese brought America into World War II at Pearl Harbor. We settled that issue in August of 1945. But the current war, a biological weapons exercise, the jab, the long-term effects is unknown, and the issue of public health is even more troubling. There is another war going on, unbeknownst to most of the public, this biological warfare. Big Pharma is delighted to be selling their assortment of injectable bioweapons. All COVID patents are held by DARPA, government agencies, or leading pharmaceutical companies. But the public is becoming suspicious and beginning to ask the right questions. What is going on it's just not right, and suspicions are increasing. I'm going to talk about Andreas Nowak. Everyone in West Covina should be looking at Dr. Andreas Nowak's final video. Please adjourn tonight's meeting in his memory. The Austrian top scientist. He was a graphene chemist. He was talking about hydroxygraphene and the COVID jab. He was a COVID jab critic. Previously debunked claims on the presence of graphene oxide in vaccines cannot be debunked because those the patents exist in the public U.S. patent files. It is now obvious beyond doubt that NOAC was telling the truth. What is unknown is why a professor is now dead at age 57. Why would anyone kill Europe's leading expert in this field? He was transported to the hospital in Wolfsburg, Austria, where he eventually died of cardiac arrest, quote. The chemist's death was confirmed by an obituary on the Wolfsburg funeral director's website. In a just-released podcast, he describes himself as an expert in activated carbon. It's my doctoral thesis. I converted graphene oxide into graphene hydroxide. I joined the world's leading activated carbon manufacturer, and after a year I was in charge of new activated carbon products. We bought a small company near Newcastle, England. I was in charge of new carbon products, Europe-wide. So why is this crud being injected in human bodies according to U.S. patent filings? He says that the medical doctors don't usually know much about chemistry, and they wonder why we would be injecting nano razor blades into the human blood circulation system. The practice cannot be healthy. If NOAC is mysteriously dead now, it might show that telling the truth is becoming a very dangerous occupation. So I'm here tonight to recognize Pearl Harbor's anniversary by reporting this death 10 days ago of the top European scientist, Professor Andreas Noack, who had just released a video questioning the value of using graphene hydroxide in the jab. Apparently a heart attack, possibly induced by an energy attack using radiological weapons. What will the autopsy disclose? Pfizer patents mentioned 30 gene deletions, so maybe we've got directed evolution going on here. They are screwing with our kids' genes, sterilizing people. This is possibly a population control plan. The public is not receiving the full story for informed choice to be possible. The media is complicit in whatever the hell is going on. Bomber pilots tell you it's easy to know.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. Time's up. Sir, please. Mr. Robinson.
William Elliott, followed by David Enriquez.
Good evening, City Council. Bill Elliott. Wow, it was great to see all those boys in the chamber tonight. They were so excited. They motivated me. That's really great that you guys honored them. They are our future. Our kids are our future. We have to continue to invest in our kids, not just money, not just tax money that gets regurgitated down to programs. We have to reinvest in these kids, not just monetarily. The Filipino Festival. I went up there with my wife. I attended it. It was so much fun. We had a lot of fun, a lot of entertainment, dancers of all ages. There were girls that were dancing from about age 7 to about age 60, and every one of them was into it, and everybody enjoyed it. And if you, especially to you Anglos out there like me, if you never had a Filipino friend, come to the festival next year, because you will feel like you're at a family home and they're welcoming you, and it's a really great feeling. When I was in business, I had a lot of Filipino clients, and they always made me feel like their best friend, and they always want to feed me. And it was a great festival. It was the most people I've personally ever seen at our Sportsplex. It's not called BLD anymore, right? Sportsplex, right. So people they don't want to get that, or they don't grasp it, or whatever. They keep calling it BLD. I think it's on purpose. Let's see. Tony Wu ate balut. If you don't know what balut is, and I don't know the exact recipe, but it's a salted egg, duck egg, a fertilized salted duck egg. And burying it in the ground has got something to do with the recipe, but my hat's off to Tony because I never seen anyone sober eat one of those. So it was really great to experience that.
It's delicious.
I want to talk about the whole proximity debate that's going on. People made a big deal of El Cholo being from Pasadena, and they provided such great food for the event that I was at the Sportsplex at the State of the City, and the food was absolutely delicious. El Cholo is a stellar name all over Southern California for a long time. I think they were established in the 20s. I felt honored to have them up there. Wow, what a big name in LA food to be at one of our events in West Covina. And for the first time the other day at the Filipino Festival, I walked through one of the restaurant venues. It's, of course, not operational, but wow, what an opportunity for someone. And if anyone's listening to me right now, call the city and check it out. We don't care if you're from Pasadena. If you can meet the criteria, we'd love to have someone up in that venue, and I have a vision that that's going to happen in the near future. We'd love to have a West Covina business filling that void, and maybe we will in the future. It's yet to be seen. But I just want to reiterate, I had such a great time. We spent 3.5 hours up there, and I was blown away at how good it was. And we had food. I mean, I bought some poke that we took home and had for lunch after it was so delicious. And I really encourage everyone to come out. I hope the Filipino community has that festival here every year. It was so much fun. It reflected the Pacific Islander population in West Covina. There was, Mayor, do you know how many people were there? Do we have a count on that? I mean,
I'll defer that to our city manager. Are you aware?
More than 2,000.
Yeah, it was a great turnout. And so I don't know what is the big deal about the police detective bureau being stalked to a restaurant. They're trying to have a celebratory Christmas. You got like 20 or 22 guys there that put their lives on the lines for every one of us every day. And somebody's mad because they're one blade of grass north of the city limit sign. And it's really ridiculous. It's an axe to grind. This is about all the issues we all know so well with that family. And it just goes on and on and on. It has taken on a life of its own. And I heard Captain Plunkett had to intervene and calm this person down during that breakfast, which was none of his business. And I think he needs to maybe see a doctor or something because it's not normal.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. David Enriquez.
Good evening, City Council. My name is David Enriquez with Teamsters Local 396. We are here to publicly announce something you may already know. Teamsters Local 396 and Locals 1932, along with key community residents, are taking legal action around your proposed Amazon facility on 1211 West Padillo Street, West Covina, California, 91790. In which today the Attorney General's office said that everyone has a right to breathe clean air where they live and work. We strongly feel that we will prevail. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
That's all the speaker slips I have. Oh,
Thank you. Oh, wait, looks like.
sorry, Mayor. We have one more. JD.
Don't make fun of my hat, whatever you do.
Looks warm.
Keep my hair warm, nice and warm. Good evening. See what you're missing, Ms. Viato? You need to come back up there on that sheet. But to my paisano here, he kind of touched on the subject that I wanted to talk about tonight. That is tax dollars, use of those tax dollars, or the utility of those tax dollars. And I want to thank the city manager for giving me some feedback regarding the gymnasium, the use of the gymnasium, which I brought up last time I was here. I just got a couple of questions. I'm wondering, I understand that they're renting the place. So is there a rental agreement between the city and the church? And if so, is part of that rental agreement include the pay of the city employees? Because after all, those city employees are being paid by tax dollars. So if they're there servicing a contract, then I would presume that the contract stipulates that part of the money that's being received is to cover that expense. So hopefully I can get an answer to those two questions. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, I have no more speaker slips.
Thank you, Lisa. And City Manager, would you please respond to the public comment concerns?
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council, members of the public. I'll briefly try to respond to some of the questions that were posed tonight and comments. Mr. Williams, we agree. Go Bruins. We thought this was a real bright spot tonight. Armando Herman, we would defend all speakers' rights of free speech. Simply untrue that the city in any official or unofficial capacity had any part of damaging his vehicle. Just not true. Elsie Messmith asked about a couple items on the warrant register. Just to clarify about a couple of those that were mentioned, there's an annual computer support payment that we make for the Go Request app, which is harvesting a lot of complaints for us. It's a really good, useful tool. It gives the residents an opportunity to turn in their complaints and concerns, get disposition about them, and give the staff an opportunity to directly do those. We pay an annual charge of about $27,000 for that. Mr. Shoemaker, we share your congratulations to our newly promoted captain, Tony Cortina. We think he is a fine officer and will do really well in his new role. I had planned to cover some questions about the health department under the manager's report tonight, but a question was posed about the cost of the health department expenditures to date. We've had a publicly approved on this agenda contract, not on this agenda tonight, but in these chambers, with Transtec for the Phase 1 services, which was $98,100. There will be subsequent phases to be considered as the application proceeds. Mr. Grivich talked about homeless. We do intend to raise homeless as a topic. We are endeavoring to schedule an annual City Council goal-setting meeting on Tuesday, January the 4th, and homeless is definitely on that list, and those suggestions and others would be welcome at that meeting. Mr. Robinson, I don't know. Mr. Elliott, I also attended that Filipino festival just to put my eyes on it and take a look at it from a administration and housekeeping perspective. There was a really bright spirit at that event, and kudos to them for putting together a really terrific event. We are in negotiation with a restaurant operator now. We had issued an RFP, and we're going to work up a contract for council to consider. Mr. Enrique of Teamsters Local 396, we are aware of the challenge under the California Environmental Quality Act, and that matter is being handled by our city attorney. Mr. DeRue, we indeed do have a rental agreement with the users of the Cameron Park for the rental of the church. We've got that in writing. I'd be happy to share it. They pay considerable fees for their Sunday use of that facility, but I'll get that document so we can see it in the black and white. I think that's all I've got this evening, Mayor.
Thank you, City Manager. And it looks like Councilman Wu would like to add something.
I think you missed the LZ Messman's question regarding the Transtec charge. And my understanding, the city approved the Transtec charge based on our income. So meaning anything, the building and safety, we get the income Okay, that's 150,000 down. We get 50-50. So basically, we get 50% of income. Okay, and then they get 50%. And anything about $150,000, we get 60%. And anything about $250,000, the city gets 65%, and we don't even have to pay the staffing. Okay, would you please elaborate about the agreement we approved?
Thank you. I did address the one contract question you raised and omitted that one. Our contract with Transtec, I think, is a sound document. It was considered as part of a city council agenda. It, for building and safety services, is a % of the revenue arrangement. The council sets the fees, and they provide the services based on a sliding scale percentage of those fees, which is reviewed every month. Those charges are appropriate. It's also a shift as we've privatized that service away from having public sector employees directly providing that services. Their services rise and fall based on demand, so we don't have people in the office in a moment when there's no demand for their services. It's a good, sound relationship.
So I think we should have a report regarding quarterly about our building and safety, like how much we bring in on our city share. Okay, so from our finance director, we can see, okay, so the resident can see how much the city get paid and how much, okay, based on the charge, okay, with income coming in and how much we share with the Transtec and how much they keep on the city. So I think in that way, they can have and solve their issue. And I'm interested to see how much we make currently quarterly. Thank you.
Through the chair, we were happy to provide that report. We do review those monthly and would be happy to publicly report to the council about those arrangements.
Mayor?
Thank you, Councilwoman Wu. It looks like I also have a question or a comment by Councilwoman Lopez-Viado.
Thank you. I was going to ask the same thing, but not just the projected, but also the past. Because how long has Transtec been with us? Has it been a year?
I think it's till almost a year.
It's been a year.
11 months.
I think it's been a year, and so I wanted to see the performance and the whole year budget of all that costs as well. So not just moving forward, but also the past.
I think the first 3 months still with winding down, so we're still paying them. So that contract is much worse than the Transtec. The Transtec we approve is much better contract for us with 60-40 and 65 into the city. If we have a lot of application, I think right now we have a lot of application for building and safety for the permit.
Yes, I agree. I just want to see like what we're paying out, but thank you.
Thank you both, and I'd like to add to that, I think the big picture you'll see from the report indicates that this arrangement and agreement is far better than our previous arrangement. And to Ms. Messman that asked about the contractors versus employees, the figures you cited is our contract labor fees paid to the contractor based on work performed. That's not income received by individuals, whereas when we had it in-house, that was W-2 employees with long-term pension liabilities. So wildly different, and as Mr. Councilman Wu just pointed out, and as we'll see in the future report, the arrangement is from the Building and Safety Department as described, shows a benefit to the city. We reap a benefit, so that'll be forthcoming.
I have regarding, I think, LZ asking about 10-10-10, and then, my understanding, currently 20 to 21 budgets, based on the, and the finance director is a surplus. I think we should disclose, I don't know when they will show on our website, showing the surplus for 20 and 21, and hopefully in 21 and 22, and even getting better. So I think, currently, I think the sales tax, property tax, and all the development coming into the city, and I look like the finance is pretty strong. Okay, thank you.
Good point, and to that point as well about the 10-10-10, that was a great move at the time, especially due to some attrition that is in progress due to retirements and lateral moves by some of our officers. So the timing couldn't have been better. But as Councilman Wu just mentioned, we'll have more information forthcoming.
And I think the 10-10-10 is very important to improve the city service. The city needs service. We need protection. We need those police officers, and we have so many retirees retiring, okay, coming in. So we need to have, continue to make sure our residents protected, okay, and 10, okay, and maintenance guy, okay, that is important to us because we lay off in 2018-22, and you can see the street, you can see ours, okay, a lot of issue, okay, the city is not clean. So hopefully with this, we can make our city clean and proud again. And that is our agenda, is how can we improve the city service. So without the and the personnel we don't have, we cannot improve. So anyway, I want to help the manager to answer, and that's why we're doing that. Okay.
Thank you, Councilman Wood. Looks like I also have a comment by Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes. Thank you, Mayor. One of the items that our residents had complained about is how our city looks. And I think having our maintenance crew out there, trying to fix things and clean up things is something that has really been improving. And as far as safety, that's another issue that our residents were concerned about, that we didn't have enough officers out there. So I think that it was a good move on our part to try to get these maintenance workers and our officers out there. So I think it was a positive thing, and it was a good thing to move forward on.
Thank you. And also to add to some of the comments raised by Armando Herman and Mike Greenspan, as well as Jim Grivich, one of the things I heard resoundingly clear is Measure H is not working. We're aware of that. It's a county-wide problem. The county absorbs those funds. What they're doing with them, we don't know. But it is something I'm going to spearhead to rethink that, revisit that, do something better, because I agree that it's not working. So I'll be pushing hard on that. And with that, we'll move on to City Manager's report, please.
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. I just have a brief report tonight. First slide, the Transit Services Survey is now up and available on the city website. We would encourage people to tell us their opinion about the services we now providing or not providing, and to go onto the city website to complete that and participate. Redistricting is a topic of interest for all the cities in California. We're resetting to match up with the latest census data. Our next public meeting about that will be on January the 18th. This next slide shows the placement of the new modular bathroom. We had a groundbreaking ceremony, and now we can have a ribbon cutting because in pretty short order they dropped this thing in via a crane. It's now fully operational. The utilities are in place, and it's available for public use. We're working to get all public restrooms to standard and have a proposal from an architect to begin the bidding process for the next one on the list, which will be at Cameron Park. But we're pleased with the way this one came out. Once wanted to briefly mention an update about what's happening with the health department progress. Earlier this year, in February of this year, the City Council voted to separate from LA County Public Health Department. There are several other cities that are continuing to express interest, and they're watching quite closely this process. Importantly, California law allows a city with a population greater than 50,000 to have a health department. The California Department of Public Health has the authority to fund local health departments who meet the statutory and regulatory requirements. This is really uncharted territory, as there are but just a handful of municipal health departments, each of them over 100 years old: Berkeley, Long Beach, Pasadena. So the focus by CDPH has been on creating a regulatory process by which West Covina's application or any municipality's application could be considered. They've produced a template, which is available on the city webpage. Really are three guiding principles that they're following. First, a health department must meet all the statutory and regulatory requirements in order to receive funding. A new health department must demonstrate a clear understanding of the community health needs, and finally, must prove its ability to address those needs. The next step in the process, I think this first phase is phase one. The next step will be a phase two, which would include council decision as to whether to proceed with the community health needs assessment a community health improvement plan, and a formal application to get to a provisional approval to stand up a health department here. Next slide. Finally, I just wanted to make mention of a couple of community events that are coming up. This Friday, December the 10th, there's going to be some skating, there's going to be some music, there's going to be some tree lighting and some fun right here at the Civic Center from 6 to 9. It's free, and we would encourage people to come out and enjoy that evening. And then the very next morning, the Children's Christmas Parade, we're participating with the West Covina Kiwanis Club. There'll be a Christmas parade in the Santa's Village. The parade starts at 10. Santa's Village will run from 9 to 2. And that's all I've got this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, City Manager. Moving on to the consent calendar. Short one right now, so we'll wait for him to return. But, Council, is there anything you'd like to pull from consent?
No, but I'm a no on number 2.
Nothing pulled, but no on 2. Is that what you said? Okay.
Number 2, just for clarification. Thank you.
Councilwoman Lopez Viado, no, and Councilwoman Diaz, or Mayor Pro Tem, I got to get accustomed to that. I apologize. And we'll wait for Councilman Wu to see if he would like to pull anything.
Looks like he's pulling. Just kidding.
Jeopardy music.
While we're waiting, I actually had a...
Oh, but maybe a TikTok would be a good venue.
I had a quick question for Jim Grivich. Does that place exist that you just mentioned? Well, I mean, you just answer from there. We don't have to go up here. Yes, no. Okay. I just wanted to know if it is a current place that is currently at the... Okay. That's all. Thank you. All right. It's back.
Councilman Wu, is there anything you would like to pull from consent?
Nothing.
Nothing. Okay. Let's see here. So, given that we're going to pull nothing, do I have a motion to approve?
So move.
I second.
Second. And roll call, please.
Can I get a confirmation on the first?
Councilman
Wu, thank you. I have a motion by Councilman Wu and a second by Councilwoman Lopez Viado. Councilmember Tabatabai?
Aye.
Councilman Wu?
Aye.
Councilwoman Lopez Viado?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Diaz?
Aye.
Mayor Castellanos?
Aye. Consent calendar passes 5-0 with Councilman Tabatabai stating no on number 2. Brings us to public hearings. Item number 9 is consideration of an urgency ordinance. And this matter is, you know what, that was...
No.
Let's see here. This matter set for a public hearing consists of a city-initiated urgency ordinance number 2493, an urgency ordinance adopting changes to Chapter 20 subdivisions and Chapter 26 zoning relating to implementation of Senate Bill 9 for the creation of 2 residential units per lot. Will the city clerk verify the proper legal notice has been given?
Proper notice has been given, Mayor.
Thank you. This time I will open the public hearing on the urgency ordinance. There will first be the presentation of the staff report, then we shall hear from those in favor of the project and those opposed. Mr. Carmody, who will present the staff report?
Planning Manager Joanne Burns will present this report.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, and also members of the public. We'll go ahead and go over some background on Senate Bill number 9. SB 9 was signed into law on September of this year and becomes effective January 1st. If the city does not adopt an ordinance, the city would be limited to following the state law as written without any modifications. There are 2 components of SB 9. One, it being the urban lot split, which allows the subdivision of any single-family residentially zoned lot into 2 different lots. And the other component is what we call in our urgency ordinances urban dwelling unit, which is the mandate to allow construction of at least 2 units per residential lot. So these are the different options that SB 9 allows for development within single-family lots. SB 9 allows for subdivision of lots with a minimum lot size of 1,200 square feet per lot in any single-family residential zone.
Joanne, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Okay, so the lot size only 1,200. So meaning 2,400 lot can be split into each 1,200?
That's correct. That's correct. There are also other provisions. For instance, one lot can be subdivided into two different lots. The minimum lot
What
size
can
is
they build on 1,200 square feet lot? How big the property can build on the 1,200? Because that be very, very high density. Okay, because 1,200 is very small.
Yes. The state law allows at least 800 square feet per unit.
800 square feet?
Yes.
How about the setback? Can they
4
the
feet
minimum
side
setback
and
for
4
that?
feet rear.
Second, I'm sorry?
4 feet side and 4 feet rear maximum.
So 4 feet, 4 feet, 4 feet?
Mhm.
No, thank you. This is from the state guideline, right?
Yes, we'll go ahead and go over that in the presentation. So these are the different lot options. There are other provisions regarding the 1,200 square foot lot size. So the other provisions include that if you are going to be subdividing a lot, each lot has to be no less than 40% of the size of the existing lot. And in this particular example, the example number 3 and number 4 are standard lots that are already currently allowed with today's code. One, the urban lot split shown on 1, 2, and 5 are what's being what is part of SB 9. So per SB 9, lots can be subdivided two different ways. One is through a creation of a flag lot similar to the urban lot split number 1, and the other one are vertical lot splits, which is split right down the middle, which is shown on number 2. And with this, per the urgency ordinance, only urban dwelling units are going to be allowed on urban lot splits. So as you can see in the diagram, the purple are the urban dwelling units, represent urban dwelling units. The blue here is an existing house, and the dark orange or dark and yellow are ADUs. So currently, the city already allows a lot to have both a junior ADU and an ADU. So here are the state standards that are required for urban lot splits. And to the right are the standards that the city has included in the urgency ordinance that's just basically West Covina specific. So we are only allowing urban dwelling units on urban lot splits. The minimum street frontage is 12 feet, and this is basically because in our city's code, the minimum driveway width requirement is 12 feet. So we are adopting that here. And the required setback is 4 feet side and rear. The setback may be reduced if an 800 square foot lot or 800 square foot unit is not possible to be constructed on the lot. So it has to be physically impossible to construct in order to qualify for a setback reduction. And the required front setback is 25 feet.
I have a question.
Sure.
When you say 25 feet from setback, so meaning that is what current 25 feet setback.
Yes, yes.
Now, with this last split, so we will reduce to, what, 8 feet? So meaning we are going to lose the green lawn?
No, currently.
Can you go
we
back
allow,
to... Okay,
we allow a 25-foot front setback, so a 25 feet front setback. But if the lot size is very small, like 2,400 square feet, and they were going to subdivide it, and it would be physically impossible to build an 800 square foot unit on the property, what we would do is we would first require the property owner to say that to attach the dwelling units that are within the lot split lots. So, for instance, if this and this unit were attached, that's the first option. And then the second option, if they still can't build an 800 square foot unit on the lot with the 2 units within the urban lot split being attached, then they can reduce the front setback to 10 feet. So the minimum.
So we basically, that's what I say. So if they cannot do it, then the city have no choice to go to the 10 feet. So we're going to losing 15 feet of the lawn, the front.
Yes.
Am I right?
That's correct.
Yeah. So that there will be basically reduce a lot of open space.
Change the character.
Yeah, exactly. So this is what the state forced us to have it. And how many 2,400 square feet we have in the city? That's a very small lot.
There are very few. I can think of 2 that are about 3,000 square feet. But
We have a 3,000 square feet lot
a few, like I believe.
for residential R1 zoning. For R1 zoning residential,
Yes.
urban R1, we have a 3,000 square feet.
There are a few lots that are about 3,000 square feet, but most lots in the city are over 5,000.
Yeah, I think we should be more 5,000-6,000 smaller lot.
Most lots in the city are over that size.
But if they can subdivide, become 1,200 minimum. This is the state guideline.
Yes, and you can only subdivide a lot once.
But do we have a requirement based on my understanding? State say you have to be owner occupied. Somebody have to live over there. It's not like investor come in, buy it, okay, and subdivide and sell it or rent it out.
Yes, so if an applicant was going to apply for an urban lot split, the applicant would have to live on the site for 3 years, for at least 3 years after the approval.
So they have to be owner on the subject property for them to subdivide,
Yes,
and they have to live in one of the unit.
that's correct, for at least 3 years.
So they have to live in one of the unit for 3 years
Yes.
continuously.
Yes, and a covenant is required to identify that.
And how we enforce that?
We would ask for proof.
We have a code enforcement to knock on
And-
their door
yes.
yearly.
Also, code enforcement can go out there to investigate.
So can we put a guideline over there? We will enforce, okay, and to verify the occupancy as the owner occupy.
Yes.
We can do that, right?
Yes.
And
It's already.
it will
it's
enforced
already
by
written
our
in the
code enforcement.
But we can also include that in the application when, so that everybody's clear.
Okay, and then what's the penalty? If they invest come in, pretend they are the owner, and they using the fake this and that, so they get caught. So what is the penalty? Why is the penalty? Do we have a penalty clause?
By way of restrictive covenants that are aggressively enforced, will we be doing that?
I don't have an answer to that. I'll look into that, and I can let you know what we can do in the event that
I
happens.
think that'll be important because I think I've seen in the past that some of the covenants are maybe not always looked at, again, in hindsight, but in this case, I think it's really important that we look at these, put strong covenants in place that are really enforced.
And also, at the very least, it would the penalty can be the code enforcement.
Do we have to approve tonight?
Yes.
We have to approve tonight. So in that way, we need to approve tonight with the penalty or with the covenant. Okay, we got the restriction. Okay, meaning we allowed to stay because we have no choice. But we do not want people come in to buy property like crazy and pretend they are owner occupied and they make a profit. Then city have to suffer because you're going to have a parking issue.
Sorry, the covenant is already in the code. As far as the language in the covenant, that is done by the city attorney's office.
So why is the penalty? Why is the to have an injunction? Can we forfeit their property if we find out they don't want to pay or this and that? Do we have any, just like a HOA, homeowner association? If the people violate HOA association, they have a very big power to make sure they comply.
Right. So we don't need to put the penalty in the ordinance tonight. We can adopt this ordinance tonight. If they violate this ordinance, we could file a petition or a writ for.
So we can amend it. We can amend it later on with. Okay.
If we need to amend it, we can amend it. But if it's a violation of a municipal code, we can always file a writ or petition for specific performance to say you need to be the owner occupied. You need to be living there. But we need to get this.
So no matter what, we have tried to we have to approve this for January 1st if they don't get challenged by lawsuit or something. And I know a lot of cities get together want to sue the state for this.
Yes. And I believe the state is, Joanne can.
So in that way, should we approve this subject to this ordinance will be implemented in January 1st? So we don't want to do something jump the gun. If they don't implement January 1st, we don't have to implement this thing because we don't want this kind of. Make sense?
Yeah, if there's no pressure, I think we should really tighten this up.
So we have the subject to all this approval of the state ordinance implement in January 1st.
What we can do, so on our urgency ordinance, we need a 4/5 vote of the council, and the very next day it is enacted.
Yeah, because we don't want to jump into approve this in January 1st. The state, due to something, they decide to suspend it, and then we already approve.
We will bring it back for this council to repeal it or to make any changes necessary. So we're not. Our hands aren't tied if we approve it tonight.
I suspect this will be an evolving thing that we look at closely.
Right. We can always bring it back, and this council has the authority to repeal.
Councilwoman Lopez-Viado.
Thank you. Councilman Wu did hit a lot of things. I just wanted clarifications because they should have some stipulations. So currently, do you know what the stipulations is within the state? I figured maybe the rule prior to this is you have to live in that household for a certain amount of time. That already shows proof that you just got there versus if I just bought this house and then I want to do all this and then you say, okay, 3 years after, say yes. But is there a current stipulation with the state currently that if they default, do not, live there? Or because anybody could say, I just moved or I decided to move out. Is there currently anything?
There is no current requirement that says they have to live there at the time they submit that.
Can we add additional requirements with this?
No.
No, we're keeping this requirement, but add additional that they've had to live in that household for prior, just to add on top of this.
Mr. Mayor, I would suggest that's a great question and maybe something good that we could add. I would suggest the way this is written, we've pushed the envelope a little bit, and we want to get as much protections for the city of West Covina before January 1 comes. And once we find out what happens on January 1, we can add some more restrictions to this, or we can repeal it altogether if the state's gonna have issues with it.
Because my other concern is with parking, and I know currently the city states parking. When you build, you have to have like 2-car garage or anything like that. But in this, there's no parking. So I just wanted to prevent. West Covina is wide that parking is not as bad as being in a dense community. So that is another concern of mine, is the parking situation as well.
So with parking, we are not allowed to require parking, but what we are requiring with the urban lot split is that they can have a driveway, and the minimum driveway width is 12 feet, and they can also have if they have a garage, they can have a wider driveway the same width as the garage. And if the street does not allow or has a parking permit only program, the residents of the urban lot split would not qualify to receive any parking permits to park on the street.
Wait, you said this law doesn't allow, I mean, if we decide later on parking's an issue, there's parking permit in our city, we can't even implement that?
No, we can. So if parking permit, if the street requires a parking permit, we don't have to give the residents of the urban lot split a parking permit. So they don't qualify, they're not going to qualify for any parking permits.
Okay, but yes, I'd like to see what full force there is so that we don't have investors or developers just do this to profit and, you know, it doesn't serve its purpose. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Wu?
Yeah, so I want to clarify. So basically, let's say, okay, 1,200 lot, they build 800, okay, and they have no room for the car parking. So where they park? Because normally you build a house, you need to provide a parking inside the property, not on the street. Mm-hmm. The street is a public right of way, it's not for people to park. So if that is the case, then the car will park all the places on the street. That's what I think all the councils worry about, what will be the future. Because, okay, so you say they can split the lot, they can build 800, and then we don't even care about the parking, the garage, the carport, or space for them to park cars.
They can provide parking on their own, however.
They can or they must. They must.
The state does not allow us to require parking.
We're not allowed for them to do parking?
Mr. Mayor, this is very similar to the ADUs. Remember ADU, you can build an ADU and there is no parking requirement for that. The vision behind this is to provide housing and without the requirement of parking. And so our hands are tied. Those are great questions, but our hands are tied.
So basically, okay, let's say it's 6,000 square feet or 7,000 square feet. You can subdivide to 4 units. And you keep one as owner occupied, and they don't have to provide any parking space.
That's correct.
So meaning what? They want to park on the street.
Whoever's going to live there shouldn't.
So if each unit have 2 to 3 cars, then you have 12 cars on the street.
And to be clear, SB 9 specifically prohibits parking restrictions?
SB 9 prohibits cities from requiring parking if the property is within half a mile from a public transit stop or a public transit corridor. So most of the city is within half a mile from a public transit stop. There's a few exceptions, such as areas within the South Hills.
Well, and we are revisiting our transportation routes, so that may be something to look at, especially since they're so heavily underutilized. Okay, so then no ability to restrict. What about it? Does SB 9 would we be allowed to do something along the lines of allowing certain communities to implement their own restrictions or protections?
The parking,
like HOA style or something,
like a parking permit,
parking or something.
Yes, the city itself, or people within the street per our municipal code can require a parking permit program. And if the city adopts or the street adopts a parking permit program, then the residents of the urban lot split would not be allowed to get a parking permit. So that's one of the I guess items in the code that may discourage people from subdividing their lots and constructing an urban dwelling unit.
So I want to clarify again. Okay, you're talking about they don't provide. We cannot restrict it. Okay, them say you have to provide the parking space because they don't have enough of land to put parking. So we allow them to park any place that they want. But at the same time, the same street, the neighborhood, they can say we want some kind of parking permit or parking restriction, right? Democracy, if the area, they say, hey, well, we just don't want our neighborhood become all the car parking all the places. So they can request and the city to approve, then we will say no parking at certain time or parking permit so restricted. So we will tell the people want to build, they better to be careful. They might have their neighbor. So we maybe have this protection. Am I right?
That's in the code.
That's in the code, right?
Yes.
So this will be subject to the neighbor, okay, to do it. We as a government, we have no choice to approve them. Am I right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Councilwoman Lopez Viado.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. My last question, does it affect of how many rooms can be built per unit, which obviously, how many people can stay within the household? I'm just concerned if that has some changes too, and they decided to build, standard, rooms, or make it smaller and just make multiple rooms and have more people.
Similar to the ADU laws, we are not allowed to restrict the number of bedrooms that they can have per unit. However, it is restricted by building code requirements. So in the building code, there is a certain dimensions rooms have to be, so that can potentially limit the number of bedrooms that they can have within the 800 square foot unit.
So they can make it into an apartment type of style or like studio type of,
yes,
or anything that they want.
Yes.
Okay.
Councilman Wu.
I want to follow up the parking thing. So can we have some people want to apply to split their lot to build this high density drawing? Okay, and can we tell them, hey, if you have no place to park car, you might have issue due to, okay, the street, the neighborhood, they might, okay, to vote to have no parking or something. Can we do that to let them understand the risk? Okay, the possible will happen.
I think, Councilman Wu, that's part of the way the ordinance is written, where they won't be allowed to apply or obtain one of those parking passes should their community.
So we can't even mention anything.
It will be part of the ordinance, so they should be aware when they apply what they will be able
to let the people they want to split the lot and build something.
We can definitely notify them or inform them.
I think what you're pushing for is it should be clear on the application of the limitations.
Correct. I think we want to let them know they have a risk. It's not like they can allow to build no matter what, okay, and they have no restriction, no risk, okay, and they can split by right because they allow them to do it, okay, and possible is the investor pretend they are the owner-occupier. So we want to make sure, say, you might have a risk that if you alter the neighborhood, okay, of their living standard, the area of neighbors, they can come out, say, we want to make sure we have no parking because they don't want to come home, they cannot park their car, they cannot even go into their driveway. So we want to make sure the peaceful of our residential neighborhood that everybody live in peace. Make sense?
Yes, that's in the code, in the urgency ordinance, and that is also going to be included in the covenant that the applicants are required to sign and get recorded. And the city's plan is to provide all that information in the application and also have a web page in our website directly devoted to urban lot splits and urban dwelling units, so that they can go to that for informational.
I think we need to have a clear language to the people who want to apply, understand. Okay, yes, we do not request the garage, the parking, but doesn't mean you just can build and can get away.
Yes.
Make sense?
Yes.
That'll avoid confusion and potential future.
They will come back to say the city didn't want them, and now they build and they cannot park their car because neighbors get together, make sure the street cannot park a lot of cars.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. And Mayor Pro Tem Diaz.
Thank you, Mayor. SB 9, I am very disappointed in this. But unfortunately, the state, mandates this, that we implement something, a policy into our city of where people can split their lots and create more dwellings and get rid of our green belts. And I have a problem with that, but I realize that it's something that has to be done. And I understand and I hope that the people that want to split their lots really think really hard on that and not just think about the profits that maybe they want to make, and that they think about their neighborhoods and the congestion that it's going to cause. But I just, I hope that we can do something about the parking and not have a bunch of cars parked out there. But that's my feeling about this. Thank you.
I want to follow up. I think I agree with Mayor Pro Tem. Okay, I think we need to find some kind of mechanism we can, make sure, the integrity of our residential neighborhood, and don't become, and the state wants to become like a bunch of condo and this and that, and that is potentially problematic for our residential neighborhood, and to see, what we can do, comply with the state, because they have been approved by the Senate, and the Assembly and signed by the governor. So it's basically a law right now. So but what we, as a city level, what we can do and to protect, as Mayor Pro Tem talking about, what we can do, I think we predominantly disagree with this, but nothing we can do since it's already signed by the governor. So hopefully we can find some way by the parking to let them understand. At the same time, strict, of owner occupy, what we can do, let them know we will knock on their door. We want to make sure occupancy, comply with the state guideline. So in the language, it has to be very clear, so it's nothing they can think about. That some investor can come in and try to make a buck, and we don't have a control. I think this is what, Mayor Pro Tem mentioned about. Continue.
Thank you. Go ahead, Joanne.
I just wanted to clarify that the SB 9 is only applicable to R1 zoned lots, so it would not be applicable to properties that are in a specific plan. It would not be applicable to properties in the PCD 1 area, which is the area near Amar and Azusa, south of the city. It would not be applicable to residential agriculture zone properties, and it will not be applicable to multifamily residential zone properties, only R1 zoned.
Okay, that's a good distinction. So the first one you mentioned, is that the blue?
Yes, the blue.
The blue one is HOA? There's a...
In properties that require a specific plan, such as...
PUD?
Downtown code.
The downtown area, and also the properties such as the Meritage development on Vincent, the old Vincent School site, and also the Lewis Home development and on the old Roland.
So basically, you're talking about the PUD, Planned Development Project.
Yes.
So all the PUD is not qualified to split.
That's correct. Only R1 zone properties.
R1 is only.
Yes.
So the blue one is all PUD.
The blue one.
Planned development can be single-family house, can be condo. For example, the south side, all those homes is single-family house, but they are PUD.
They're zone PCD1, so it's a planned unit development.
Planned development. So over there, they cannot split. Over there, the lot is not that big.
No, most of those lots are smaller.
Yeah, so lucky. So we don't have to worry about the south side. So the north side, but how about the yellow? Let's go a yellow brown on the bottom one.
So these are R1s. So these qualify. And note that the larger yellow squares are either
those homes built in 1950. Old style. Home. The lot size about 6,000, 7,000.
Yes.
So those lots is R1.
Yes.
They are not PUD because they are older home. They are built in 1950.
That's
so
correct.
They can split.
That's correct.
So all the mustard color right now, the majority of the map, that's all R1 that qualifies for this.
That's correct.
That's pretty much the whole city.
Yeah.
That's big.
And then the yellow, is that RA? Residential?
No, the green is RA.
RA,
the larger yellows are zoned
Or the light yellow. What's the light yellow?
So you're talking about the green one is RA. RA is what? Agriculture, residential agriculture.
Residential agriculture.
So they cannot be split.
They can.
That's a big lot.
Only R1. Yes.
That's green one. That's a pretty big lot. Yeah, so there's agriculture, meaning you have a lot possible host property. So they cannot split.
Those are probably the best targets, but hey.
Oh, lucky them. Okay, so all the brown one or the yellow one that can be split. That's almost 70% of our city.
Yes.
Okay.
It does have to meet
we
the
need to
lot
make
size
sure-
requirement.
Make sure we people understand what they get into, especially investor.
What we are also incorporating in our code are objective design standards. Without adopting the urgency ordinance tonight, we would not be allowed to incorporate objective design standards. We would just have to strictly follow state law without having the authority to approve or look at architecture. So one of the things that we are requiring is that any additions to any existing structures would have to have the same color, materials, and architectural style as the existing structure. Porches, we are going to be requiring a front porch and an entrance along the front elevation. We are requiring at least 2 building materials on all elevations. And the building materials would be either stucco, brick, wood, rocks, or stone, decorative hand-painted tiles. So it not just in the front, in all elevations. So when we are requiring window treatment in all windows, and for privacy.
I'm sorry, Joanne. Is this state guideline or this is city ordinance?
This is city.
City.
This is something that we're adding.
So we're adding this thing for their guideline if they want to build split. Okay.
Yes.
This is the guideline.
So these are the objective design standards that the state has allowed cities to add. Without objective design standards, we would have to approve anything.
These are from our subcommittee for design review guidelines, correct?
Yes. These are, what we did was we incorporated some of the subcommittee design guidelines with some of the elements of the downtown plan and code.
I have a question. Do we have for the fire hazards, all the safety, have we, with this kind of smaller lot split, okay, have we need to have our fire department or building safety to look into potentially the fire engine cannot get in or something?
So all lots and construction would have to comply with both the building code and the fire code. So if it complies with the building code and the fire code, then the construction would be allowed. So if the fire code requires a 20-foot wide access for the lots, then the applicant would have to comply with that.
So basically safety number one.
Yes.
Okay, so at least we have some other thing we can look into as a safety.
Yeah. And Joanne, will the neighborhood be noticed when somebody wants to subdivide?
No, because the state requires that municipalities approve these developments ministerially. So meaning by right, based on the city's adopted code or the state code.
So we would be strictly disallowed from noticing any request?
Yes.
I think it's similar to our rehab. All this rehab they don't tell you, the resident, they just pop on in your neighbor.
Yeah, any of those licenses by DSS are by right.
And the city have no say. City doesn't even know.
This is similar to the ADUs, where it's by right, no noticing.
Okay, thank you. Continue.
We, as part of our development standards, unless there is no physical way they can build a one story 800 square foot unit, the development, it would be limited to 1 story. If there's no way that they can build a 1 story, 16-foot height, 800 square foot unit, then they would be allowed a 2-story. Maximum height would be 25 feet. And on the second floor, for privacy, to protect privacy impacts, We would not allow windows on the side elevation that are ingress or egress. They would be limited to clerestory windows that are 5 feet above the floor level. We will not allow balconies. We will not allow exterior stairs, and we will not allow decks.
Question. Okay. Regarding the second story, so if you are in the predominant single-family house, 1 story, so if they split, then we have no choice, allow them to build 2 story?
So only 2-story would only be allowed if there's no physical way that a 1-story, 800 square foot unit would
I understand. That's what I'm saying.
So yes, the answer is if we get cornered, they must
Yes.
go up.
Yes, most properties would be able to construct the 1-story, but there may be certain circumstances where the lot shape is not square,
Triangle.
and very odd, and at the same time the lot is very small. So that would be a very unusual circumstance. But most lots in the city would qualify for a 1-story.
But no matter what, they still
Yes, but
allowed
since
to
there
do
are
2-story.
possibilities, we would have to include.
by right. If they cannot build, then we have to allow them to build 2-story.
That's correct.
So they have a chance they can build 2-story no matter what. By right, they could.
And then the existing guidelines for the windows and privacy.
That's the existing guideline from the city.
Yes, that's existing, but we're adopting it in the code because we need to do objective design standards. So that everybody would see what's in the code and know exactly what's required.
Okay, thank you.
Continue.
And then the roof design, we will not allow flat roofs or shed roofs. We would only allow gable, Dutch, gable, or hipped roofs. And if they're planning a Spanish style or proposing a Spanish style or Mediterranean style house,
So
then
I'm sorry. Can you say gable basically is a triangle? Okay, this shape. So they're not allowed to use the flat.
no flat roof.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
And then if they have Spanish or Mediterranean style, they have to have rounded or S roof tiles. They can't have asphalt shingles if it's Mediterranean style.
Okay.
And then as far as the color palette, they have to have at least 2 colors for the main, 1 color for the main wall and a different color for the trim.
So this is a city ordinance, right?
So yes.
Okay, thank you.
And then this last slide shows the difference between an ADU and an urban dwelling unit. So ADUs are allowed on all residential zones. So if a multifamily residential zone property wants to apply for an ADU, they are allowed to have ADUs.
A question? Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, on the ADU, if they are PUD, they can build.
That's correct.
So basically, in the south side, all this they cannot build, they cannot split, but they can build ADU.
That's correct.
Even a small lot.
Yes, and we've had a few applications where they converted in the garage into an ADU in the south side.
So they're already in the PUD, they convert the garage become the ADU.
Yes.
Then where they park the car?
The small driveway in front of the house.
I think they will park on the street.
Yeah. That too. And then for urban dwelling units, only in R1 zone properties. ADUs are not allowed a separate address. Urban dwelling units are.
Quick question with the separate address. Does that mean they can then later sell that property because it's its own unit, its own separate address?
They would not be allowed to sell each unit within the lot individually, but they can sell each individual lot in the future.
When they split the lot, they can sell the lot. If the lot has a 2 unit, they have to say the.
Okay, but not like it's split. I mean, if they split the lot itself. And then
When they split the lot, it become 2 lots, and they can sell their own their own parcel.
Because on my street, they skip address. So technically, if they did that, they'll fulfill the address in the middle. of each home. And I was just thinking they could just technically consider that its own property. And so that doesn't apply for this, right?
And in this case, the address that we would assign is a B address. It wouldn't be a separate number.
Oh, okay.
It'll be, 1, 2, 3, 4, B, C, D.
Yeah, because in our street, it actually skips.
Yeah.
So there's
they normally
not-
speak about four digit or 8 digit.
Okay.
And then the size, the maximum size is different as well. In state law, the minimum that we're allowed to, the minimum we would have to allow at least an 800 square foot urban dwelling unit. So in this case, we're making the minimum requirement our maximum, so they cannot have more than 800 square feet.
I'm sorry, question. Okay, when they split the lot, when they sell their unit, but they can sell the unit, right? They can. So let's say somebody purchase, owner occupy, okay, and they build, let's say 4 unit, 2 unit on the one lot, 2 unit on one lot, and he live in 1 unit, so he will be allowed to sell the one lot.
That's correct.
As long as he lived there 3 years.
Yes.
So, but if he sell the lot and this guy get caught, he didn't live over there, he just pretend, okay, so what kind of thing we can do? He always sell the lot, make a profit. So what kind of tease we have?
That'll be Tom's job, right, Tom?
Right? We should have some kind of
multiple ways of the 3-year
on the covenants, because we want to make sure people understand they don't think about cheat on the city and the thing. This is the only defense we have. I don't think we don't have any defense besides they don't try to cheat.
Strong enforceable covenants.
Strong enforcement will make sure. So they want to build and try to cheat. We want to discourage them. I think that's the only mechanism we have. Okay, thank you.
The maximum height is 16 feet for both. The maximum driveway width allowed is for ADUs, the width of garage plus 12 feet or 20 feet if there is no garage. For urban dwelling units, it's the width of the garage or 12 feet if there is no garage. And then the last line was regarding the parking permit issue that we've previously discussed. With this, it is recommended that the City Council conduct a public hearing and adopt urgency ordinance number 2493.
Quick question.
Thank you, Joanne, for that. And let's continue the questions by council. Councilwoman Lopez-Viado.
Thank you, Mayor. When they're building and so forth, are we gonna? Well, here, it just caught me. Can they actually utilize the garage and start changing it and be part of a unit or anything like that? Eliminate the garage use to build? I just don't want to see every home.
Could that be one of the 4 units?
Yeah, that they decided, okay, I'm not even going to use the garage for its purpose, because we do know that people are turning their garages into homes, units, or anything like that. And so that's my concern with this situation here as we're building and doing all this.
Okay, so for the ADU, you can convert your garage into an accessory dwelling unit. However, for an urban dwelling unit, if you were going to use this example 1 here, if you are going to subdivide the property and leave the existing house as is and build an urban dwelling unit on the other property, the existing house has to retain its garage.
But they can change their existing house and decide to do a full remodel and then remove the garage and make that into units, correct?
Unless, yes, unless they would be, the only way that they can remove their current garage is if they convert it into an ADU, which is now currently allowed.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Councilman Wu?
When you split the lot, it's like the way, so you don't need to even worry about the accessible, the car can drive in the back. So basically just 4 feet. So people, okay, just park the car on the street and just walk into the
I believe
back
it's a-
unit, because, okay, if you have a, okay, split 2 lot, you should have some guideline, because if they want to sell the lot, the landlocked inside, how they access, okay, to inside? Huh?
How do they get there?
How do they get inside? If you go to the
Lot
4
has
unit?
to have at least 12 feet of.
I'm sorry.
Each lot has to have at least 12 feet of street frontage. So, for instance, in example 1, they're subdividing it horizontally, and so it's basically a flag lot. So the back lot has to have at least 12 feet of street frontage where vehicles can go in.
So vehicle can go in
Yes.
Okay, the number 1 example.
Yes.
So in that way, but they don't have to build a garage,
They do not have to build a garage.
but they can have the car go inside. They don't need to build a garage.
That's correct.
And what about, like, example number 2, those top 2 units? Would they be required to have access?
Well, the access would be on it would just be pedestrian access for the rear unit.
So the number 2, basically, the back unit, you just have to walk in. No need for car access.
No.
Well, they'll be parking on our streets.
Oh, park on the street. They park. And the other city, okay, if they build this, they will park in our city.
So if a developer would or a property owner were to build an urban dwelling unit, the way number 2 is shown here, then they would have to keep that in mind and basically sell it or let potential homeowners know that they're basically not allowed to have cars.
So basically, tonight, we don't have too much to say.
That's correct.
So the only thing we can do is, okay, and approve it, because we have no choice.
And just really try to implement the strong covenants.
So we have the strong covenants and the co-enforcement for the owner-occupy. And we have to find a way, if they try to get away to sell the split lot, but they never live over there, what is the penalty that they understand from the beginning?
Just it's horrible.
So if they purposely want to do something, try to make a buck, we need to tell them, this is not for you to try to get the easy money. Supposedly to provide more housing, affordable housing, but not for people to try to create some kind of a
easy flip or something.
Yeah, flip, because we now have a lot of flip.
Oh yeah, see.
Yep. So anyway, okay, what we can do, okay, besides we just like a rubber stamp to approve this, can we do anything? Can we add anything? Sound like we have nothing we can do. We can add anything.
Sounds like we've kind of looked at all our options. Anything
Mayor,
to add, Tom?
Yes, we've had council look at it over and over again and push the limits as far as we can. And as Joanne said, we're allowed to now add some objective standards before January 1st, January 2nd. If we didn't approve this tonight, then our hands would be tied and they would put up whatever. So, got to do this now. If things change, we will come back and bring this to you to amend, and depending on what happens, and maybe we repeal it.
Okay, I will move. Do we need to go to public?
Yeah, public. Okay, so any more questions from council before we proceed?
No.
Okay, is there anyone who would like to speak in favor of this ordinance?
Mayor, I don't have anyone who wishes to speak in favor, but I do have an agenda position slip of one person who is in favor. Ms. Jerry Patras, she said, and the comment is, please do all you can to preserve our city.
Thank you for that. Any other cards who would like to speak against this ordinance?
Yes, Mayor, I have 2 cards for opposition. The first speaker is Jim Grivich, followed by R. Robinson.
Thank you.
I'm not certain I'm actually in opposition. I have a question. Does this overturn all the CC&Rs for homeowners associations?
I don't think it applies to that zoning.
Then the question, the next question is there anything that stops R1 houses from becoming a homeowners association with CC&Rs?
Good question. I asked that earlier, but in relation to parking,
I'm talking about a bigger issue here.
Okay.
Let's pick a cul-de-sac. It can become a homeowners association with covenants.
Mr. City Attorney, would that be doable?
No, maybe I can.
Councilman Wu, you have experience.
Since I'm in the real estate business, I kind of understand about to set up a new HOA is not as simple. Okay, you need an attorney. You need to have an entire area. Okay, for them to and in the same agreement. Okay, and we have to post. Okay, they have post bond. Okay, and the post. Okay, just like when you build a new home, you need to set up the HOA as a PUD. I don't know that maybe attorney can look into it. Okay, what we can do. Okay, because this is existing old home, they have no HOA, and now they want to use something to do it. Is that allowable? Okay, and then at the same time, my understanding based on the state guideline is a PUD is a planned development from the beginning. Okay, and they already, like examples at Southside, they plan the unit development, and plus all the new one we are building. Okay, and this is a townhouse and PUD, so it's not complying to this last split. So I don't know the one or the old one, is that possible?
Mr. Mayor, that's correct, Councilmember Wu. There's a state statute that governs the creation of this. There's got to be bylaws. There's almost incorporated.
From the beginning, yeah.
Yes, but depending on what the state statute says, I think it's the Davis-Sterling Act. Depending on what that says, you create that.
You set out HOA doesn't mean you are a a PUD.
It could be a real simple one.
Yeah,
all about parking.
Yeah, exactly. I think the parking is the major issue.
And that's where I'm headed with this. I think there's an avenue relative to parking that could be pursued under the covenants on HOAs. And the city already has ordinances about parkings and how the residents can select their own parking restrictions. I think it could be made much more elaborate than it is right now and accomplish the objective, which is trying to avoid the mess on the streets.
I agree. Thank you for your input. Maybe we could look at that more closely, perhaps initiate a study session by our planning commission. Anyone else?
Yes, our next speaker, Mayor, is R. Robinson, and he is opposed.
SB 9, this is proof positive that the legislature is populated by morons. And the governor is a moron for signing it. I mean, zoning should be local. And this is a monstrosity. It obviously hasn't been thought out. I don't think it would survive a California Environmental Quality Act challenge. I think you ought to get together with the League of Cities and a coalition of a few dozen cities just sue the governor and the legislature and make them overturn this. I mean, there's easements. You've already talked about parking. If the people that populate all these this is going to, all the mustard sections of that map, if people are going to ride around on skateboards, it might be feasible, but everybody that moves into a new structure usually brings a car, and our California roads are probably pretty static. They can't be expanded, and easements and parking. This is just obviously not feasible, and a coalition of cities just overturn it. I mean, don't try to comply with it. It's a monstrosity. It sort of reminds me of what the Amazon project is going to do to my neighborhood. Well, instead of my neighborhood being impacted, this is going to screw up the whole city. And if you turn one size fits all and apply it to the whole state of California, well, my time's up.
Well, we could.
I'll just yield back my other 3 minutes.
We owe you three. We owe you three. Okay.
But this is proof. This is proof that the legislature is populated by morons.
Thank you, Bill. We'll see if anything could be done with the League of Cities and CEQA.
Mayor, I have one more speaker who's neutral.
Okay.
JD.
What happens to cities that have that moratorium of no overnight parking? And if you're trying to mitigate a parking problem, would that be useful for the city of West Covina? Since permit parking would not become available to those that are now inhabiting urban development units, I guess is what they call, or that's what it stands for. So I'm wondering if
PUD, planned development.
Planned development. If overnight moratorium on overnight parking would have an impact. I know Covina does have that currently, so I wonder how that's going to roll out for them. But I guess that's not relevant to West Covina unless there is something that we can copy from them that might mitigate the parking situation or parking concern. In terms, though, I'm not in favor of the parking situation, potential parking situation, but I do know that the city has actively, for quite some time, up to recently, been painting curbs red. That limits the number of parking available for additional residents moving into the city. On Cameron, all alongside the high school, all the way to the park, that was painted red just when I first moved into the city. Just recently, across the street was also the corner eighth of the block was painted red, where there no parking allowed. So that's going to create a problem, especially when you think that we took an emergency ordinance and passed it to try to mitigate the ADU impacts. And we see how far that got us. The state overruled, and we basically now are stuck with ADUs and no parking requirements. So while you may be doing this in hope to mitigate the problem, you may also want to look at what you've already done that's actually going to worsen the situation if, in fact, the state forces you to go through with their plan. If you don't provide parking, or if you do go with a plan such as Covina, where you have moratorium on overnight parking, then you're going to create a lot of animosity from those that do move into the area. In terms of building up, currently, at the Planning Commission level, the amount of windows, the size of the windows, it's usually gauged based on the neighbors, right? But in this case, neighbors don't really have a say. But I'm hearing from Joanne that you're basically going to approve tonight restrictions on the level of windows, maybe the size and what have you. So you're working against the residents that would be moving in to that extent. I don't find that to be productive. If you currently have a process that allows for Planning Commission, absent neighbors, but the Planning Commission to consider, hey, these windows are acceptable. They're not going to invade anybody's privacy. Why tonight approve such restrictions that will, it seems like it's punitive, as is the painting of the curbs red excessively. It seems punitive, and it undermines the state's initiative here. I'm sorry, you were going to say something there?
Well, I was going to let you finish, but in terms of that, that's a good question. The window guidance that we're suggesting here is actually already in place currently with additions. As I mentioned earlier, those restrictions or those guidelines are taken from the guidelines for design review. So that's actually not new. That has been in place. Above all else, those came from when additions have been done. Those come from the surrounding neighbors voicing concerns, and that's how those guidelines came to be.
And I agree with you in terms of the size of the window. I know that the fire department requires new windows to be a certain size, and I've heard that from Jeff Anderson back when he was in charge here. But I've also seen exceptions to the rules, and when there hasn't been opposition. So I don't know if that's a sealed deal. But anyway, my time is up. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, that exhausts our crowd. Any more speakers? Anyone hiding out there? I'll close the public testimony and a portion of the public hearing, and I'll ask the council for further discussion or questions. Councilman Wu?
Yeah, I want to move the motion approved since we have not too much we can say. Okay, so I want to move the motion to approve, but okay, we want to approve this with clear language regarding that the person want to apply understand some of the parking issue with potentially their neighbor. They can restrict the parking, and so they understand. And the people want to cheat the system, want to buy the property and pretend they are owner occupy. We want to make sure we have and the ordinance and the language tell them if you do this, you will be some kind of penalty, and especially and they want to sell the property, split and sell the property, and they make a profit. We want to make sure this is not for that. This is for people we need housing. It's not for people come over here try to flip. So we approval with the guideline with what we can let people apply. They understand this not what they come over here is a Wild West. and then in that way we will and have a co-enforcement and to have a guideline maybe I don't know yearly to inspect their occupancy to see their utility bill and see under their name and make sure this is owner occupied genuine put our state guideline. So this is my motion.
I like those ideas, and I will second that. Roll call, please.
Before I take roll, I need to read the title of the urgency ordinance into the record. Urgency Ordinance Number 2493, an urgency ordinance of the City Council of the City of West Covina, California, adopting changes to Chapter 20, Subdivision Regulations, and Chapter 26, Zoning of the West Covina Municipal Code relating to the implementation of Senate Bill 9 for the creation of urban lot splits and 2 residential units per lot. I have a motion by Councilman Wu and a second by Mayor Castellanos. Councilmember Tabatabai.
Aye.
Councilman Wu.
Aye.
Councilwoman Lopez Viado.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Diaz.
Aye.
Mayor Castellanos.
Aye. Ordinance passes 5-0. Thank you. On to agenda item number 10, Transit Service Evaluation Update. Mr. City Manager, who will present?
Our Assistant City Manager, Paulina Morales, will present this report.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. This is an update on the transit service evaluation that you approved earlier this year in spring. So I will have our consultant, Steve Wilkes, come up and provide a presentation of where they're at with that evaluation.
Thank you. Welcome. Yes, I can hear you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just waiting on the PowerPoint.
Oh, cool.
Apologies. Thank you. Mr. Mayor, members of council. I'm Steve Wilkes with IBI Group, and part of a consulting firm, or part of the consulting team, rather, that was retained by the city to undertake this evaluation of the transit services. What I want to do is spend a couple of minutes Again, I want to spend a couple of minutes and provide an overview of our work program, the approach and schedule. Just talk about what I refer to as this evolving mobility landscape. And that just speaks to imagine the possibilities as we look at alternate delivery schemes, opportunities to possibly leverage technology to enhance customer experience, a whole menu of such opportunities. And then relate to discussion items that we've certainly incorporated in the survey research community survey piece, and would be very interested in hearing any comments that you might have as they might relate to goals, values, how we might position transit as the economic engine for both local and regional opportunities, things of that nature. Next slide, please. So an important element in the conduct of this service evaluation is that it's an important step in the COVID-19 recovery phase. The detailed evaluation includes that of the Go West shuttle services, the fixed route, fixed scheduled, as well as the dial-a-ride services available for older adults and persons with disabilities. And the evaluation is really targeted to provide better transit services to the community, grow the ridership base, both in terms of number of trips as well as number of people, where we can change the relative attractiveness of transit and attract more choice riders. How do we encourage people to leave their 2.3 cars at home and look at a mobility alternative? Similarly, to respond to changing customer or consumer demands and expectations. And we know that too is somewhat of an evolving market. We know that more and more of the millennials are running around with smart devices and are demanding, immediate e-hailing type capabilities where a vehicle may arrive 12 to 15 minutes later, mobile payment, all of those kind of things that many of us are familiar with the Uber Lyft type. And then certainly to identify financially sustainable solutions or changes in the existing delivery scheme. Financially sustainable and certainly fiscally responsible. Next slide, please. So the overarching approach is that of these three catch-alls of investigation in terms of review and understand the unique conditions of West Covina and the operation of the Go West shuttle services. And this really speaks to the number side of the equation, looking at that detailed evaluation of existing services, performance metrics, number of trips, costs, things of that nature, trips per hour, and then the innovation. And this truly speaks to identify and analyze service enhancements, alternate delivery schemes that we might want to look at to complement some of the successes of the existing transit services, and ultimately to develop solutions, a final recommendation report, implementation plan, and deployment plan that will also include a financial analysis and certainly operating and capital costs. Next, please. So in terms of specific tasks, first and foremost was the community survey and engagement piece. And that survey is currently on the street in terms of it's web-based, is available through a link from the city's homepage. There's been a number of postcards advertising the URL and a QR code that have been distributed on the vehicles at select locations throughout the city. Just a number of things that the city has done to promote the availability of the community survey. And that was complemented by paper copies or hard copies available, or that will be available at select locations throughout the city, just recognizing that not everybody has a smart device or access to computers. The next key task is that of the current conditions and the actual operational analysis. And that's what I was alluding to earlier in terms of looking at the numbers side, the performance of existing services. And finally, next slide, is the transit needs assessment and restructuring plan. So the transit needs assessment is to quantify the unmet mobility needs, looking at community demographic profile, demographic numbers, socioeconomic characteristics, those key elements that may influence one's propensity to use transit or an alternate mobility service. So based on what we're hearing from the community, what the numbers are telling us in terms of the analysis, to come up with conceptual alternatives and ultimately a draft and final report. The intent is to take the concepts, after what we hear from the community, the analysis, develop a menu of opportunities or concepts, take that out to the community and have the community help us translate those concepts into a final recommended strategy. And they're targeting to take such concepts out to the community in mid-January, about a month's time, finalize this and certainly make a final presentation back to council at a February date. Next slide, please. So I just want to spend a minute and talk about, again, what I refer to as this evolving mobility landscape, because this is a really exciting time to be in the transit or mobility business. We've seen just over the last couple of years what we refer to as this whole next-gen mobility options, microtransit, e-hailing, rideshare type opportunities, as well as advanced technologies that are making all of these alternate delivery schemes quite possible in terms of not just the platforms for e-hailing, trip requests, getting real-time information, trip discovery, all of those things, but also, mobile payment, as well as a number of other features to enhance the customer experience. And that's a very important element when looking at alternate delivery schemes and how do we change the relative attractiveness of transit to a broader market or broader constituency. So, based on, again, what I mentioned in terms of what the numbers are telling us, what we hear from the community, the state of the industry in terms of the evolving mobility landscape, we'll be developing concepts and a final recommendation report. The final slide speaks to, we need your input. These are the kind of elements that we're taking out to the community and would certainly be interested in any comments that council has relating to local attitudes and community values. Identification of unmet mobility needs. We know that there's some very significant anchors in the city in terms of major trip attractors and generators that would inform on opportunities for mobility and transit services. Certainly interested in any comments you might have on who are the critical markets for transit or mobility in the city. And then finally, to hear any comments that you might have on targeted mobility solutions, thoughts that you might want to share in us going forward and identifying further concepts.
Thank you.
With that, through you, Mr. Mayor, if there's any questions.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. Your slides touched on just about everything I was interested in, just about everything I've been saying. I think the interested groups, maybe you mentioned a lot of them, youth, seniors. Perhaps one addition we could make is reach out to Mount SAC, Cal Poly, local universities to see if they would be willing to provide us with students who are residents of West Covina to ensure we engage them. I think we're on the right track. We need to push for better utilization of our transportation funds, similar to what I mentioned earlier regarding Measure H funds. We really, and also the topic we just talked about before this, the parking problem. If we were serious about solving the parking problem, we got to be serious about utilizing these dollars properly. Otherwise, we're going to keep seeing ghost buses, and that doesn't serve anybody's needs. So I think you're on the right track. I'd like to get input from my fellow council members.
Go ahead.
Councilwoman Lopez Viado.
Thank you, Mayor. So this survey, is it a simple survey? Because a lot of people don't like taking surveys. Is there an incentive for taking these surveys? And what's the feedback that you're getting, or how many you're actually getting back?
So yes, it's a relatively simple survey in terms of a series of check boxes. And it was designed to sort of tell a story. We want to know, well, first and foremost, if they're a resident, if the current mode of transport used for a range of...
Oh, she's pulling up the survey. That's the survey?
Okay. For a range of trip purposes, if you use the existing services, what do you like about it? What do you think of, and again, a range of on-time performance, things of that nature. But if not, why not? In terms of if you don't use transit, why not? And are hearing back, well, it doesn't take me to where I want to go, infrequent service, things of that nature, takes too long, all of those things. And then the survey ends with, a brief profile of the respondent. Yes, it's at the option of the respondent if they want to provide contact information, and we will be having a drawing for a gift certificate. In terms of, yes, there's that incentive.
I'm surprised you didn't take a survey and get a free ride. I mean, that's at least a direct incentive. But how many actually people have taken the survey?
Okay, so that remains work in progress because the numbers are relatively small.
I mean, I'm looking at all the questions. She was scrolling down. I mean, it's a lot of questions, and truthfully, most people's attention span is very short, and they'll just say, forget it, it's not even worth it. Like, gift card, how much? How many is being given out? Like, most students, the key market that, usually takes this, if there's an incentive, they'll take. Otherwise, they won't. So basically, you're saying you're not getting that much. I mean, you started November 17th. Survey went live, right?
Yes, but the distribution of the postcards, and again, we just went through a second printing of these postcards that advertise the URL and QR code, just recently went on the vehicles in terms of being handed out to customers, passengers, as well as now being made available at select locations, being handed out at the transit centers, for example. And that's just happening now.
Well, the survey will end by December 15th, so you'd be lucky to get not even 20 possibly. I mean, if it just went out now and it's...
Well, within the past week. But yes, we think that we'll be increasing the numbers over the next week or so.
Okay.
Well, by next week.
I know you said you're conducting in-person surveying, and how are you conducting that in-person survey?
So there's been some intercept surveys, as in staff that have attended at the transit centers to talk to people. And then there's going to be another round of consultation that we're looking at in mid-January, a month's time, when we'll have concepts that we can take out to the community to solicit input, to solicit comments on what do you like about these? Will these work for you? Are we heading in the right direction? Help us translate these concepts into a recommended approach.
So they're not talking to the person directly while they're inside the bus, waiting?
No, there hasn't been any onboard surveys.
My concern is the survey of what you're actually going to be getting. And I mean, I saw the sample questions, but she scrolled through a lot. That's a whole new different issue. And then you are looking at the density of our city. So you're doing that, looking at the density of where most popular places to go and everything, and the whole lines of where it goes. That's what you're also taking care of that as well, right?
Correct. So when you talk density, I mean, we're looking at people in terms of demographic, socioeconomic characteristics, as well as employment. But then there's also the trip density in terms of travel patterns. And that's everything from existing transit services, the Go West services, as well as having profiled all of the local and regional routes of Foothill. And then traffic patterns. in terms of auto movement, car movement.
Yeah, my concern is the whole survey thing, and if
And that's a good concern. I think maybe we could do a push for some additional measures, such as reaching out to all of our businesses through our city staff to ask them if they have employees who have transportation needs, or just to make them aware. Another comment, maybe we could reach out to EDD and ask them for a list of unemployed people in West Covina looking for work, to see if any of them have unmet transportation needs, and to engage them here. That's a good point, Councilwoman Lopez.
and has our city, because I don't remember seeing this survey being blasted out. Has this been posted out within city?
Through the mayor, yes, it has been posted on our social media. We will do another couple posts to continue to promote it. We are looking at having for a minimum postcards at the upcoming community events this Friday and Saturday, if not in-person surveying. There isn't in-person surveying on the shuttles, but there is the postcard with the QR code for the survey on the shuttles and at all city facilities, as well as the counters in City Hall.
It's inside the shuttle, so when they're sitting and they're bored, they could just QR code per seat.
Yes.
Could we
Inside?
request that the drivers emphasize and
Exactly.
point that out?
Thank you.
We can definitely do that.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem Diaz.
Thank you, Mayor. So we don't have a count on how many surveys have been submitted?
Well, to date, I believe we're up to about 24, and 2 of which were in the Spanish language.
So to that point, I think we're all going to need to get involved in pushing it through our social media and really spreading the word. Councilman Wu?
There's only a week left.
Yeah. My point is a little bit different than the survey. Okay, I kind of understand the issue because I was in the governing board of Full Hill Transit, okay, for whole years. Okay, I think the ridership over there is only like less than 20%. Most of the subsidy of our gas tax, this and that, and federal, this and that. Okay, and the issue of the why the ridership is not high even before the pandemic. I was before the pandemic as a governing board of Full Hill Transit. It's a couple issue I discussed with CEO. Okay, during the meeting. There's 3 things. The first thing is safety. How safe you're willing to take this bus, or go west, or anything? How safe is that? Especially now in pandemic, can we change into kind of trolley, kind of open, so people will feel more safe? Besides the physical harm, we're talking about virus, this and that. So that time before the pandemic, we're talking about the physical harm. People get stabbed, this and that. So how safe, okay, to sit in the mass transportation? Second thing is, okay, how convenient? Yeah, would you please write down, please? Okay, convenient. How convenient for them can take the bus or take the transportation from here to there. So how we design the route will be from the hospital, okay, to the, and Plaza West Covina, or go to the south side, okay, because the 17 square mile, or on the north side of a GO line, Covina, and Metrolink, so we can have them to get off the bus, can get off the train, can hop on the bus and go to Azusa, okay, and come back to the city, back to their home. So something will be convenient, and hopefully we can push this, okay, and synchronize traffic, so people willing to much easier take the bus, and will be green light, go to their destination, or this and that. So this is second thing. And number 3 is branding. Okay, branding about what? About I'm taking a bus not because I'm poor, or I have no driver license. I take a bus because it's hip. So that's why I asked them to change the slogan. Okay, we move people to shop and play. We move people to shop and play. So we are moving the people to shop and play. We're not moving people because you have no money or you have no car. So the concept has to be changed. That's what branding about. So that's the only way we can attract people, okay, to take, okay, and this service. Otherwise, we will continue to have an empty bus all the places because people don't feel safe to take their thing. I don't think how safe you feel you want to take the bus. Or if you are waiting on the bus stop, I think something wrong about you. You might be lose your driver license. So the concept we need to change, that we want to see how can we do to do the branding and do some kind of changing to maybe the Go West rather than confined to the bus. We open it up like a trolley, become much more hip and safe. Or people feel, oh, I want to hop in that. The kids say, hey, and there's some design. So the family wants to say, let's go to over there and let's go to West Covina Plaza, taking this trolley. So this is a couple of things, my suggestion, okay, rather than just pushing the survey. The survey still, no matter how you do, you still a few people. But myself, I already know why I don't take the bus. I don't feel safe, I don't feel convenient, and I don't feel the branding, I feel hip. So we try to say, can we promote this into the museum, into the supermarket, something? Besides, we are just, go to the senior centers. So can we expand it, and to people to utilize, even go to the school for the student, so to have this service not being wasted. Currently, it's really wasted. We see empty bus all the places. It just create more pollution because they don't do any function. So how can we kind of work together and make sure all these transportation plan, including your, this survey or this kind of suggestion, can utilize and we can promote it. So anyway, this is
absolutely. Thank you for those great comments, Councilman Tabatabai.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to agree with Councilman Wu there. My mom does use it quite often to go pick up my son from school. But I do think the push to younger people and really, this is how the younger people are moving. And I think the way we have it in our city is a really old model. And I think some of the ideas that Councilman Wu was talking about, just even the look. I know in some of the images you had looks of these people movers, right? They did not look like buses, right? They looked like the future. Like you'd want to go on there, and you'd want to go to the mall. You want to go to the theater. You want to go to Eastland. You want to go to the parks, right? How much are we going to the parks? We have our skate park and we have Cameron Park, and so I think that's I think a lot of times we're surveying an older population, right? Because that's what we've been targeting with our Dial-A-Ride and our Foothill Transit. But my niece is 23 years old. She doesn't have a license. She's never going to drive. My nephews are in the young 20s. They're never going to have their driver's licenses. And so, those are our folks that, we want to go to our malls, want to go to our restaurants, want to get around town. And they're the ones that want to use transit and are used to using public transit. And so hopefully, I know we only have to December 15th, we can find a way to survey more of those folks and find out how they want to be traveling around West Covina. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. And if we have to extend the survey, perhaps we should. But another point I'll make, this past Sunday we had an event at our Sportsplex. Very well attended, awesome, fun, great. But while we're working on expanding our parking, I'd rather see our current wasted transportation be utilized to get people there and back. So with all the comments we've given you, please continue pushing hard and collaborate with us. And if you wouldn't mind, maybe by the end of this week, if you could give us an update of what the survey looks like, also to remind us to give our own push to engage our stakeholders. Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, I know with the survey, it's the holidays. Usually everybody's just mentally out, just phased out right at the moment. But if they are, it is a good push, like they mentioned, at the school, the younger generation. And again, the incentive, because to do all that is just, that's a burden of its own. But pretty much everything that Councilman Wu said, I agree. I don't really see even just the revamping model of this whole thing. I know we have the bus situation. If most people, when they think of bus, they just think of bus standard. So how is this any different than the typical transit buses that occur, the Foothill Transits? And in regards to safety, we just had a safety incident near the mall at the West Covina Parkway. At the bus stop, there was a stabbing that took place, and the person went into Yogurtland. And so that is a big safety concern. So with that model in mind, it's how are we even different than that? But with taking into consideration everything that was just mentioned and said, the revamping, the rebranding, the whole app base and everything, I'd like to see that put in. And that's pretty much it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Lopez Viado. Any further comments? No? Okay, well, we'll look forward to that update, and if we do need to incentivize, maybe that's something we could look at, but you and I could discuss that later, and we'll leave it at that. Let's see, anything else you'd like to add?
No, I wanted to thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council, for really good comments as well. And yes, I'll be, obviously working with staff and revisit the survey in terms of both distribution and time frame. Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
And let's see here. Motion is in order to adopt. No.
No, this is receive for the 11.
Let's see here. Nope. We do need a motion to approve. So
it's a receive and file.
Receive and file. Oh, okay.
Receive and file, Mayor.
Thank you. This is to agenda item number 11. And Mr. City Manager, who will present the update?
This is also Assistant City Manager Morales.
Mayor and council members, let me get the PowerPoint, sorry. So the item before you this evening is amendments to 2 agreements and a budget amendment regarding the grant funds for our implementation of our homelessness plan that we are working collaboratively with the city of Covina, Duarte, Glendora, Azusa, and West Covina. Amongst the 5 cities, we received a grant of $343,250 with $291 in matching funds, which comes out to $33,000 per city. An in-kind match of space, parking, and utilities. The City of West Covina was the lead agency. We executed a contract with the county, a contract with Union Station, which was the selected service provider, and we also managed the payments and reimbursement reporting for the grant. As mentioned, Union Station was the selected provider for the services, homeless services, amongst the 5 cities. And we executed that contract December of 2019. The initial contract was until February 2021. Due to the late project start and the COVID pandemic, the county extended the grant term through December 31st, 2021, the end of this month. Unfortunately, the City of West Covina lost our navigator November 19th. We will continue to receive services until the end of the year. It'll be a reactive basis, and it'll be 72-hour response time. This will be at no cost to the city. So the items before you...
Please. What are reactive bases?
I believe it's if we get a call that we need to respond to a homeless person. So if...
Oh. BASIS, we have a typo.
I'm sorry. So the items before you tonight are the amendments to the agreements with Union Station, the agreement with the 5 cities to administer the cash matching funds, and the budget amendment. And the purpose of the proposed amendment to the cohort MOU is to facilitate the use of the cash match for the contract, which was advised by the county. The amendment will allow the City of West Covina to make payments to Union Station on behalf of Azusa, Covina, and Glendora in excess of, I believe it's Azusa, Covina, and Duarte in excess of the grant monies, but not to exceed the $33,000 cash match amount. The amendment to the agreement with Union Station is to increase the compensation by the already approved cash match from each city, which is the $33,000. The purpose of the budget amendment is to appropriate funds sufficient to cover the cash match commitments of Azusa, Covina, and Duarte, which will be reimbursed, as well as reappropriate the match that West Covina had already approved. These funds for West Covina were appropriated last year, but not expended and not carried forward to this budget year. As mentioned earlier, our Navigator services terminated November 19th. As such, we do not anticipate expending the complete $33,000, and any unused funds will be returned to the fund balance. The outstanding balance owed for the contract is close to $80,000, with $10,000 left from the grant monies. The remaining balance of approximately $70,000 is owed amongst the 5 cities, each averaging approximately $13,000 each. West Covina's share of that is $13,600. And this is for the services Union Station has provided from inception of the grant and up until October 22nd, 2021. We are waiting for receipt of the November 2021 invoices, plus invoices for the other cities that the City of West Covina, as lead agency, will be responsible for processing the payments. We reached out to the county and to ask if we did not fully expend the cash match commitment, would it be an issue, such as repayment during grant closeout? Our representative last week at the county said that they do not anticipate it being an issue. The table here is a summary that shows the aggregated project performance for the 5 cities from inception through October 2021. The measures and targets were included as a scope of work in the agreement with Union Station, as well as the agreement with the county. West Covina was the first to get a navigator onboarded in mid-February 2020. So this is for all 5 cities. So as you can see, the target in some areas they exceeded. They initiated contact. The target was 275. They had 382 contacts. For example, they referred link services to individuals. They targeted 50% of those initiated contacted, and they came out at 63%. And then linked individuals to permanent housing, their target was 30. They were only able to do 18. So these, I said, as mentioned, were the figures for all 5 cities. Representatives from Union Station are available to answer questions regarding the report, if you have any questions.
Councilman Wu?
Yeah, okay. So today, for this report, is a table from last time, right? Last time we have Kelly tried to, so this, am I right? This is a table for today.
I believe so, yes.
Yes. So, but this is something is already, like this is history, so we need to amend it. That's what today is, right? This is not regarding contract. When the contract expired, December 30th? December
31st of this month, the end of the month.
So this month. So this is just amendment about the increase of $130,000 and the $33,000. So we are leading agency. We need to, approve and pay bill. That's what this is about.
To pay invoices for services already incurred.
So there's
and already approved.
Tonight we approve not the future contract. It's about the contract that has been performed. Well, we don't know. So we have to talk to them what they have been performed. Why is their performance? How many people they help based on their numbers, so we can talk to the staff on the Union Station.
You're correct, Councilmember Wu. So this evening, we're not extending the contract. We're only doing amendments so that we can pay the remaining invoices for services already rendered, and the budget amendment to allocate those funds that were already approved, but not.
And this fund, we are trying to adjust, amend. The fund is coming from CDBG, or this is coming from general fund, or this comes from the grant from the county.
I have to confirm with Kelly, but I think the $33,000 is general fund.
Because you're talking about amended $130,000, So on your slide, okay,
Oh, let me go back to that.
appropriate $132,000 on the your. So we want to amend it. Okay, their request about billing that we have to pay, but we want to know what they have been performed. Why we need to do this adjustment? Are we paying for what kind of service? Okay, and then if we approve, they will get paid.
So I believe the 133 is the portion that each city is supposed to match. 33 of it, which is West Covina's portion.
How much?
33,000.
So we are going to approve the $33,000 tonight.
It was already
Our portion.
It was already approved. It's just a budget amendment because it was not carried over from last fiscal year.
For $33,000.
Correct.
Okay, and totally appropriation is 132 for 5 city.
Correct. So
Got it.
Yes.
Got it. So we want to see the performance, and then we will discuss the future, the partnership or this service for the Union Station, and that's why we invite the staff to kind of give us a brief, because this is, I think, first time we meet. We hopefully we can get a full understanding. See, are we going to continue this service? What can benefit? Okay, and what we can help the homeless population to have a temporary housing or even permanent housing. I think this is what it's about, right?
correct.
Okay, thank you.
The invoices are for all 5 cities? Is that accurate?
Yes.
I'm done with my thing. We'll maybe invite them to give us some presentation.
I had one quick question. The initiated contacts, I know the target was 275 and the actual was 382. How many are those repeat contacts? Or is it they're all first time?
That's correct. Those are all first.
Unique.
These are all unique. Okay.
So good evening, council. Or now it's nighttime, but thank you, Kelly, for inviting us here and for allowing us to just share kind of an overview of the program we've been.
Can you lower your mic so we can hear you, please? Thank you.
Is that better?
Yeah, much better.
That we've been, providing in collaboration with your city and a lot of your staff. My name is Raji Shivshankar. I'm one of the chief program officers with Union Station Homeless Services. And I just want to introduce, I have...
I'm sorry, are you stationed in West Covina?
So,
Not you. Who's stationed in West Covina? Who is the person?
So I'm going to introduce my colleagues, Andanette Langham. She's the Associate Director of Outreach and Access. She was the program manager overseeing the 5 cities, so supervising the 5 housing navigators in each of the 5 cities. And then also Jessica Salazar is our Associate Director of Data and Evaluation, so she can also answer really any technical data questions that you might have tonight. So I'm just going to give a quick overview of the program from inception. I believe our contract began technically December of 2020, and we started hiring our first staff in February of, 2019. We were able to hire our first staff by February 2020, and part of the 5 cities program consisted of 5 housing navigators, with originally one housing navigator was also the dedicated supervisor, which was Andanette's position. Midway through the contract, we leveraged Union Station funds to create a separate supervisor position so that each city could have a dedicated housing navigator. And that worked out, I think that worked out really well. So that was one housing navigator station in each city. In the city of West Covina, the housing navigator who just transferred to another position was Christian Gonzalez, and he was stationed at, actually in this building, yeah. So in this program, the services funded were outreach and housing navigation. We use a progressive model of engagement to do street-based outreach. So this means we respond to outreach requests that are submitted by folks from the community, from hospitals, from other service providers. We do routine outreach, so we learn the hotspots, in the city that we're working in, and our teams go out and do routine check-ins. They build relationships with folks who are unhoused, and with hopes to engage them, build a relationship, and hopefully establish a housing plan so that we can help them get into a more permanent housing, and then also linked and connected to other resources and services such as mental health, substance abuse treatment, medical services. One of the components that we provide on the street is a street medicine team that's not funded through this program, but through one of our other programs, which we've been able to use to support the 5 Cities program as well. So that's actually delivering primary care to folks who are unhoused living on the street. What was not included as part of this program was funding for vouchers like rapid rehousing, or West Covina funded motel vouchers separately, which was I think Andanette can speak to how successful that's been and been a really huge help to the folks in your city. And we didn't initially, on the onset of this program, we did not have a dedicated data quality specialist funded under this program. And so midway through the contract term, we also hired that position through Union Station funds in order to manage the data for this program as well. And if you have questions about that, I can get into that later. So I just want to highlight some overall performance targets that I think were quite incredible. So the team of 5 outreached to, and I'm going to be referencing November numbers. What you have are October numbers, so they may be a little bit different. But I am giving Kelly the November report, who can put it into your packets for review. So as of the end of November, our teams have outreached to 386 unique individuals, 113 in the city of West Covina. We've engaged 84 individuals in the city of West Covina over the contract term.
I'm sorry, okay, sorry to interrupt you. So when you say 300 people in November, how we verify that number, or this number can be verified?
So it's, 386 unique individuals from the contract inception to the end of November. So over that period of time, all of our initiated contacts and housing plans, engagement, service notes are all entered into a database that's called Clarity, HMIS, the Homeless Management Information System. And then we pull monthly data reports from that system.
So meaning if we have a Kelly go to your office, we can pull out and see which one. So that data will be available.
That accessible to us?
For you all to access?
No, just for example, we want to verify the 380 servers have been performed. Okay, and let's say, for example, one of our staff just say, hey, we want to verify one of this, just check and balance.
The reason we're asking that is we were getting reports that just were, looked like it took 2 minutes on Excel to just put numbers in.
Mm-hmm.
We had no method of verifying. The impact was not felt. The frustration felt by the community grew. That's why we're asking about a system of checks and balances and verification and contract enforcement.
I think I understand are you asking if there's a way to generate a report that has
we want to make
a unique identifier per person?
We want to make sure the credibility. So when we go to our resident, they're complaining about, they have a homeless, and we call the state union, and we have a service, what is the service perform, or have they pick up, and they say they get pick up, they didn't get pick up. So they have a discrepancy over there. We try to say, hey, no, this is the proof they have been serviced. Mm-hmm. We really helping them, and we want to make sure we confidently tell them that, yes, the performance right there. That is the reason I'm talking about check and balance,
Mm-hmm.
Make sure not just a number, because the number doesn't have any number backing
mm-hmm.
of your number. So how can we verify the number, and prove to our taxpayer and resident that the number is genuine
mm-hmm.
with the credibility that we can check and balance?
Mm-hmm.
That's the point.
I'm going to let Jessica confirm this, but I do believe there is a way to generate a report that would have an individual, once entered into the HMIS system, each individual has what's called an identifier. It's a combination of letters and numbers. And and then all services, any linkage to other programs, any contact that that individual has with our housing navigator is entered under that profile. So
I just want to make an example. My personal experience about a couple months ago in the south side, and when I was canvassing with one of the residents, we met the local, a homeless lady, and when I been introduced as a council member, and she right away say, "Is that possible? I can get help? Okay, I need housing, temporary housing." So I right away called the staff, and they say the state union will pick her up 1 o'clock at the Friendship Park, and end up, the resident told me later on, and I told her, and state union will pick her up, 1 o'clock at the Friendship Park, and she's very happy, I think the residents happy. Some people need help and they're asking for help, and will be helped. And the later on we find out she never been picked up, and so we want to know what happened, why, that I have all the text proof, that's the proof that will be picked up what time. I even went to the Friendship Park to see her, and she has a cowboy at the parking lot. So I say, and they will come over here pick you up 1 o'clock, and she needs some medical attention on her leg. So but point is this, so it's a disappointment, and she never be picked up. She says later on, my understanding is, somebody show up from maybe your agency or some other agency, they just provide her some food, and then left. So we want to see, because the person asking for help, housing. So and this is what state union specialize, and we can give them temporary vouchers or something, and hopefully the person could be off the street and asking for off the street. So anyway, I don't know, you have this record, can check into it. I asked the staff to check in with you guys. Today I haven't have a report about, her name is Jessica, and so maybe you guys have any record for that lady, and the lady right now still on the street, so hopefully we can help people willing to get help.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, and I mean, I would have to check on that specific individual, and sort of what her situation and experience has been. But I think you bring up a good point. I just want to clarify that Union Station, we don't have vacant shelter available that we can immediately enter people into, and so that also is something we try and contend with and find other options. If there is immediate place for someone to go and they are willing to go, then we absolutely do provide transportation, make sure they get checked in.
Check in the motel.
Follow up on this specific incident.
I can send you my tags, information, so you can check into it. We just want to make sure that, all this kind of system, that we have system to help people, and some people want help. And later on, I asked for carpentry, and they step in to help the lady. So at this church, or this is a charity group. So we just want to find any resource, that we can help people willing to get help. So hopefully, we can check into what's the system flaw, and we can fix it. We can hopefully find a way to continue to work together to provide service for the person on the street, and hopefully we can help them off the street.
Absolutely.
We want to help them off the street, not temporarily. Hopefully we can find a way, to help them back on their feet.
Yeah, we agree.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
So amongst the entire 5 cities over from inception to the end of November, the team of 5 housing navigators provided 2,317 services overall. That could be anywhere from delivering meals and hygiene kits to putting in a referral for mental health, or a Department of Mental Health referral, linkage to substance abuse services, or to primary care medical services, including the street medicine team. 21 have been linked to permanent housing. So a linkage does not mean someone has moved in, just that they've been linked to an available permanent housing resource. And I think we all know that those permanent housing resources are, more and more become available every year, but they're still pretty a pretty challenging resource that I know we continue working on in the San Gabriel Valley. 228 assessments have been completed. 65 of those assessments, 65 individuals were already assessed once Union Station staff came into contact with that individual. So I just want to also highlight some, I think the major successes of this program have been, the ramp up period was at the exact same time as when the pandemic started. And I think that created definitely safety concerns and change in protocol for anyone who is working in the field of homeless services. And, I know everyone's life overall. So we adapted pretty quickly, as fast as you can, kind of shift a whole agency culture, equipped all of our teams and any of the clients that we work with, anyone we encountered on the street with the proper PPE. We provide testing on the street and in encampments. And, we were able to still meet many of our targets, despite, I think this was before I came on board, but there was a pause moment where we had to adjust to the new reality of the pandemic.
So I'm sorry, when you come on board? When?
I joined Union Station July of 2020.
2020, okay. Thank you.
And I think the other major success is we forged relationships and partnerships that we didn't have before. Union Station has had a really significant presence in the city of Pasadena. And we've, through our CES, as being the CES lead agency, we coordinate the entire region, work with all the service providers, but I think this is the first time that we're really working hand in hand with the city of West Covina and some of the other cities in this in the 5 cities program. And Annette's team, especially in the city of West Covina, I think built a really good relationship with the West Covina Police Department, and in various with other entities within the other cities. I'm blanking on the exact, their specific names, but I'm thinking of a specific, I think it's the Neighborhood Connections program in the city of Azusa, their senior center in the city of Glendora. And throughout this program, we also were able to assist quite a few of these cities in administering their prevention and diversion funds that came through the COG.
You again, a question. Okay,
Sure.
Is that true? Glendora want to terminate the contract service with you guys? Glendora, city of Glendora.
No, that's not true.
It's not true. Said, you heard about anything about?
I believe, through the mayor, I believe that they're not. They lost their navigator as well and did not pursue it to replace the navigator.
Covina, same thing?
No, currently, Glendora has a concurrent program running at the same time as the 5 cities with another cohort of cities, and so we've restructured using that program for them, and so that might be what you're thinking of with Glendora. Currently, all the other cities have a navigator, with Christian leaving the city of West Covina on November 19th.
And how about Covina? Covina? How about, do you know anything about Covina? Because
Covina has a housing navigator.
Okay.
Currently.
I believe they don't intend to move from what I recall of the conversation last.
That can be possible, but I haven't spoken with them about that.
Okay, I'm sorry, continue.
So the other two things, and this might address the staff turnover through this program. Outreach and housing navigation is an extremely difficult job, and it takes a really specific individual to be willing to go out there in the street every day and do the work in the pandemic and the type of weather we experience, and encounter the various different crises and circumstances that can happen on the street. So I consider these people, my team, extremely gifted and unique in their skills. Unfortunately, these roles don't often pay a lot. Something Union Station has committed to. And I'll say that I think that is part of the general difficulty in hiring during a pandemic. And then also, it has led Union Station to reevaluate our commitment to what we're paying our staff and move that needle closer to what LASA has committed to paying their staff in their minimum wage overall. And then halfway through the project, we did shift from a manualized reporting process to bringing on a data specialist who works underneath Jessica to really work with the data in the HMIS Clarity system and be able to pull those reports. So I think for the first probably 8 months or so, all of our housing navigators were reporting individually and manually counting all of their contacts. That's not the most reliable method of reporting. And so the report you will receive at the end of this month, which will cover our entire contract term through the end of December, will be the most accurate report throughout the contract term.
Councilwoman Lopez-Viado.
So on the project performance, when you said inception through October 2021 on the map, the inception is 2019 or 2020? What year?
So our contract technically began November 2019, but we did not have staff working in the cities until starting February of 2020. Okay, so I would say between February and April of 2020 is when the full team was hired.
Okay, so these numbers are for 2 years, pretty much. And then my next question is, do you have the breakdown for all 5 cities? Like, out of all these numbers, what is West Covina, or what's
like individual per city? Yes. We do have that breakdown. Let me just see if I have that in my packet of paper here.
So that's this. But this is only for October, or the inception?
This is for the monthly data report just for October 1st, 2021 through October 31st, 2021.
That's only for October.
Correct. But we do have
is inception to end, so that's for the pretty much 2 years. West Covina had 110 contacts only. And then number of unique person engaged, only 81. So West Covina has, and when it comes to the homeless issue, out of all these cities, West Covina has the most, right? Or the contacts, basically.
The number of contacts initiated was the most, but that doesn't mean, I would reference the point in time count for the exact homeless count.
Well, I'm just looking at the inceptions, the total for the past 2 years. Is it just these two? Is there another slide, or that's pretty much it, right? Number of person assessed. So then out of placed in permanent housing, how many of West Covina or West Covina, pretty much residents, West Covina.
Yeah, the unhoused West Covina residents.
Yeah. Because all this breakdown, I don't have. I wanted to see what West Covina was in relation to all the other cities that we are. I just wanted to evaluate all these. We don't have that up on the chart.
No, it's not in this chart, but I believe it may be in the additional report that I provided to Kelly. But I don't think you have that.
That's only for October. Oh, the inception to the end. Covina has 22% of. So West Covina had 5 that was placed into permanent housing. And then almost those 2-year period. Okay. So it's towards the last page. It's at the end. Any person who retained permanent housing, that's only 5. Okay. Thank you.
So, do we have a replacement for Christian who was here?
No, we don't. We're concluding this, as I understand it, correct?
Correct. So the end of the program and contract term is December 31st, unless it's decided that the program will continue in some way. But the 5 cities is disbanding as it was originally set up and pursuing each their own, their own plans in their individual cities.
What are our options under Measure H, if you know?
So I can't speak to Measure H, but I can share that depending on what cities have observed in what they've learned about homeless services in the last 2 years in the types of roles that can be funded, I think cities are deciding what's most appropriate for their city. Some examples are facilitating more of like an access center, which is more of like a drop-in center where people can walk in. That works for some cities where it's more walkable and accessible, and case management services can be provided on site, versus outreach and housing navigation are much more street-based. And I think cities are deciding, between part-time and full-time housing navigators, and then also attaching voucher funds like the motel vouchers, prevention diversion funds, or you may also hear it called problem-solving funds, and then rapid rehousing funds, depending on what they've heard and seen the need is in their city, and then what has been successful interventions, and that changes based on geography.
How can we assess that to see which route to pursue?
I think just from the top of my head right now, I think some of it comes down to what outreach teams have seen in your
to maybe research that a bit and get back to us on just maybe countywide what worked best and what path to pursue.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can say probably for the city of West Covina, a drop-in center model where people are walking into a site is not going to get the most folks through the door. It's definitely the street-based approach.
The outreach, right?
The outreach and housing navigation.
Any further questions?
Thank you, Mayor. So just to be clear on the numbers, once the person had been initiated, they don't get counted again. So this is 110 unique people.
Correct.
That are unsheltered. Okay. So that's not contacts that have been made, because obviously you probably contacted them multiple times.
Correct.
Okay. And then in the city we're using vouchers, but we don't have any rapid rehousing set up beyond the vouchers, or do we have anything else?
So in West Covina's motel voucher program, the majority are reserved for motel vouchers, so that's an interim housing intervention. There's also a small amount of the money reserved for security deposits and move-in assistance. And I believe we have used one security deposit at this point, maybe two.
Any further questions? Councilman Wu?
We try to set up West Covina Homeless Initiative, okay, and to consolidate all the resource, okay, and including your agency and churches, okay, God pantries, okay, okay, what we can provide, okay, the housing, okay, or some people willing to take to their home because they have some kind of resource, okay, and so we talking to some churches, okay, and we talk to some. Okay, and non-profit organization. Okay, so have you think about maybe we can kind of consolidate and okay, doing this together. Okay, to provide the community outreach to help those people can be helped. Okay, or off the street. Have you any of just right now? It sound like you. Okay, and you just with very little resource. Okay, and to only help very few people. So what we can do is, can we put you together with all the agency, okay, or with all the nonprofit, okay, or our church, and to work together? Have you thinking about that possible? Since we don't get, okay, major H money back to us, so we don't have that much of a strong resource. So have you think about we can, because we have a lot of people willing to help. We really want to help the people. Mm-hmm. It's not because they're human being on the street and it's cold weather. What can we help them? Okay, and work together. Have you think about any suggestion, proposal?
Mm-hmm. And we can detail this further for specifically to West Covina. We have a lot of experience in collaborative partnerships like you're describing. So having a faith-based organization partner with us to, for example, do cold weather shelter or safe haven projects, and we will provide the case management and support service. So I think that collaborating with local service providers is really essential. As you said, in this program we had one navigator per city. That's really difficult to do alone, and so wherever we can partner with local service providers, local churches, to really strategize and formulate an outreach plan and bring together all of our resources. I think that's when we come out with the strongest projects and support for your community.
The point is a lot of volunteers, they're really passionate, okay, to help, okay, and not like I'm not saying your staff. I think your staff with full of love want to help too. But as I say, then we have more people passionate to help. Then we can and try to find all the resources. We might have a chance, okay, because right now, city we don't have a budget, okay, because we paid, okay, major H money into the county, okay, and they want a matching fund, this and that. It's almost impossible, okay, due to our budget and all the issue. So, but they have so many of a private group, okay, our city. So maybe we can kind of work together, see what we can. And you have experience about how to help, how to this and that. So maybe you can train a lot of other people, see how can we work together. Because a lot of churches or the group, they want to help, but they don't know, okay, where's to help. Okay, so maybe we can kind of work together. Is that possible? You can kind of lead on this kind of issue, so we can maybe have a potential to kind of help our region.
Yes, I think as the CES lead agency, we can't do it all, and so wherever there are organizations who want to build capacity to do this work, we are happy to support and figure out the best way. I think it's unique to each city and to the organization and how they're looking to help. So I think we would have to meet with who those stakeholders are and understand what resources they have, and then how we can best work together to make sure it's the most effective and efficient. But building capacity for smaller organizations is something that I think is essential.
Yeah, another thing, I think we use the voucher program from our CDBG fund, the federal fund, CDBG fund, to reimburse you. So we want to utilize, okay, as much as we can to help people really want to move in, like a raining day, cold, okay, we can help them to, okay, at least temporary housing, okay, and then we have some motel around that we can help them to especially family. Okay, if they have a family living in the car, can we help them? And we know they know where they can get help. Okay, have a number. Okay, the place, so they can ask it for help, and we can help them with you or all the group together with kind of centralized with something we can right away approach them and help them to some, because my understanding your agency is help housing. Okay, help to, because we have a lot of people have to give out the food, but the housing is the most difficult one. So how can we help the people to really, especially cold weather, okay, and it's really cold at nighttime. How can we help them? Make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense, and I know this is an issue. I think in the central region that we don't have enough shelter and interim housing, but I think that might be. It sounds like that might be the maybe first stop. Most essential is. I think there are models we've used with churches in Pasadena to set up cold weather shelter or weather activated shelter, as well as safe haven projects for safe parking and things. So prior to someone being able to have a spot in an actual physical location, they can at least park their car somewhere safe for the night. Both of those things we've done with other churches in the region.
Go ahead.
Yes, Councilman Tabatabai.
So establishing those types of like safe parking, maybe shelter with the nonprofit and churches, those would be a necessary first step. You think?
I think like developing interim housing and permanent housing. Obviously, I would like for both of them to happen at the same time, but. Interim housing is whether it's in a motel voucher form or it's a weather activated shelter or a safe haven project. All those are ways to get people into a safer situation than being on the street. And so I think, and that's something definitely we have a very limited resource of in the San Gabriel Valley. We really have that those resources in Pasadena and Pomona and the middle, the central region has had a really difficult time, and the two shelters that we're running closed down. I can't remember the exact dates now, but it's such a need that those I feel like those are really essential in addition to having the permanent housing units, to whether it's for a rapid rehousing resident or landlords that are willing to work with Section 8 vouchers. And engaging more landlords in solving this issue with us, I think is like the second step to that.
Thank you. Any further questions? Okay. Well, you've given us a lot of information, but if you would please maybe give us some recommendations and for the future.
Well, we're thinking about maybe some proposal. Okay, we can see we can continue to work together for next chapter. Okay, and I think we all want to help people. Okay, otherwise we won't sit over here. Okay, we want, and the solution is like, okay, it's a very, we all understand very difficult, complicated, okay, situation. Okay, we have a, mental issue. We have a drug, alcohol abuse issue. So that we all understand. But okay, some people want to get help. Some people refuse to get help. And how can we kind of work something with the community outreach and with what resource we have in our city, okay, and kind of consolidate together. Okay, rather than waiting for county say, hey, where's the money? I think rather than waiting for that, I think we should just do it ourselves, okay, and consolidate, okay, and a lot of people are willing to help. Okay, how can we work together? Okay, and okay, lady want to share something with us. Okay, sure. Look at you nodding your head like you agree. I heard you no. Oh, thank you. Okay. So we all want to help. Okay, I know you guys want to help too. Okay, and we just worry about the help is not there. Okay, and we worry about the people on the street. Okay, we hope we can have an agency that really can kind of help people, and the city willing to help too. Okay, and a lot of we have meeting with all these churches group and this and that. We have meeting more than one time, and they already starting to do the outreach. Okay, we want to have another meeting together, but I don't know. You got a proposal? We can see can we work together. Okay, and to make it maybe a future model for other city to do the same thing, consolidate the resource. Okay, because everybody do themselves. Okay, on the redundant. Okay, some places don't get the resource. Some people get redundant. Okay. So how can we consolidate and to really go out and help them? Okay, and with love, with everything. That's why I really trust the church members. Okay, passion to help people because they want to help people. Okay, so we can work together. So hopefully we can have a good partnership.
Sounds good.
See, we're not here to try to criticize you. We're here to try to find a solution, okay, and try to work together, okay, because you are important, okay, agency, but we just don't understand, okay, we don't know too much about, okay, your performance. So that's why we want to show the credibility to people, okay, and at the same time, we find solution.
You probably heard us talk about the transportation earlier. We're kind of doing the same thing there, just trying to think of how we could do things better and more effective. Councilman Tabatabai?
Yeah, and I think it was very important how you really focused on how the San Gabriel Valley has really lacked in providing those type of rapid rehousings and safe haven parkings. And I think it is something we could lead in and doing it in that way.
And to that point, if there's anything you could do to advocate for us on a county level to see if we could request more resources, we would greatly appreciate that. I think we need it.
We've been really trying, so just know that
we're trying to don't get it.
Every chance we get, we advocate for our region, and especially the central region at the county level. So just know you have that partnership in Union Station, and I just appreciate you all having us here tonight and for the partnership we've had over the last year through the pandemic and all the challenges with that. And we'll put together some recommendations and options for a proposal for you all to look over.
I think we hope okay we can have a relationship, good partnership, okay, and but we want to use a proposal and see if we can work together, okay. So it's not a blank check, and hopefully if we have a relationship, we can have this meeting, okay, this communication all the time. So because this is like the first time we met, okay. So hopefully, okay, if we can have a relationship, we can see what's the pro and con, where's the error and try, and where to improve, okay, and where is the reaction, and where is response from resident and from the homeless community, and how can we all work together and try to help people. So I think this is why we're here, okay, and that is why we drag you over here. Okay. We try to see what we can have some solution and work together.
Good.
One more thing.
Councilman Lopez-Viado. Councilwoman, sorry.
Thank you. In regards to housing, I don't know if it's something that you could bring up above higher level. And I know sometimes they have this concept of just building these houses, homeless shelters, and a lot of people don't want to stay in those things. I don't know if they can consider even internal home. I mean, there's some people, residents, who don't mind temporarily housing them. I know one of the church members who took in a homeless, stayed with their family for a few months, but didn't receive a dime from assistant or anything. But if there's something to that extent, because we have some residents who complain, but then some people would say, then you house them, and some don't mind, and I've seen it done in other places, but they don't get anything out of it. So if it's in regards to housing, temporary, maybe they can consider getting like a partnership with the residents in any city, actually. So if you can possibly bring that up and make it a win-win for those who are accepting them temporarily and those who are staying. And I think that one also helps those who are in homeless with the mental capacity of a different environment. So if that is a possibility, please do. Thank you.
Yeah, I just if the voucher idea could be widened,
expanded,
right?
Correct.
And again, all those people obviously vetted, but there are a lot of people, a lot of church people, a lot of nonprofits who would have people in their home and provide people with that safe space for.
And we don't want to burden the one who takes them in and
right.
They should be.
Should be
compensated.
compensated.
For that.
Yeah.
And it's a win-win.
So here's a question: how soon we can get a proposal? And then consolidate, we help each other, we introduce you. So it's not like a city don't want to help. Okay, city will step in to put a connection, and how can we, as a leader, okay, and you guys, okay, how we can work together.
Mhm.
Also, you can provide this proposal to us, so we see we can, okay, and make this thing as hopefully possible. There will be beautiful ventures and maybe become a prototype for other city to follow, to kind of starting with something. Okay, proactive community outreach and consolidate the resource and to help the community of homeless.
Maybe by the end of the year?
I was going to say before Christmas time.
Better.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Give me till the end of the.
We're not
the end of the year.
Tomorrow, okay. Well, yeah, I think it's by end of the years. Okay, and the next meeting we can, in the maybe, okay, some manager office we can sit down, okay, and then we can go through it. Okay, so I think that. Okay, and again, we really want to work out something, okay, to have some of outcome that people will be helped.
Thank you. So we look forward to that. And with that, do I have a motion to approve?
So move the motion to approve.
Okay, we got sounds like a tie.
I motion to approve.
Go ahead. You go ahead.
And I'll second.
I'm second. Lady first.
Late.
I'm tied for second.
You second too? Okay. I'm quiet.
Roll call, please.
So I have a motion by Councilwoman Lopez Viado and a second by
Councilwoman.
Diaz.
The Mayor
Pro
Pro Tem.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem.
I'm too late.
Councilmember Tabatabai.
Aye.
Councilman Wu.
Aye.
Councilwoman Lopez Viado.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Diaz.
Aye.
Mayor Castellanos.
Aye.
So I see you soon.
Thank you.
I'll see you soon. Okay, hopefully, okay, make a nice proposal that, okay, can be practiced and exercised. Okay, thank you so much. Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Happy holiday.
Happy holiday.
Enjoy.
Okay, and next item is mayor and council member reports. Anything anybody would like to comment on? Or
I think AB 123, right?
That will come.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, right now is a good time. Would you like to do it, or would you?
No, you go first. Okay, so
I'll report on yesterday. Councilman Wu and I, and Assistant Manager Paulina Morales traveled to Vegas for ICSC. Took an early morning flight, hit the convention center, talked to a lot of interested parties to our city for future development, and it was a successful meeting. We came back last night for a good night's sleep, so we could be here today. So it was a long, tough day, but worthwhile, I think.
Yep, thank you so much. Okay, and yes, we have a flyby for 12 hours. Okay, we get up 5 o'clock. Okay, and I want to thank Assistant City Manager arrange all the stop and flight. Okay, and pick us up. Okay, and so we leave 6:15. Okay, and we went to airport and we catch the A15 flight. And then we arrive about 9:30 in the convention center with Uber. Okay, we right away hit on the, all the booths. Okay, and we try to check. Okay, and what we want to target. So we don't want to. It's a huge place. We don't want to kind of lost inside. So we want to focus. So we don't waste time. Since we only have 4 or 5 hours, then we have to go back to LA in the same day. So we want to make our time efficient. So we want to focus is basically there's a chain Grand Hotel that we needed in a couple places. Hopefully we have a chance. In the West Covina, currently we have a lot of motel, small hotel, but we don't have a Grand Hotel to have a wedding, convention center, etc., and bring job and bring revenue and bring TOT tax. So that is how our target. So we focus. And then we were talking for almost like 5 major hotel chain, and they have 1 or 2 show very interested.
Very promising.
Yeah, they want to tour our city this week or next week. So okay, and so with that, I think that we time didn't waste. Okay, plus we're talking to quite a few people, including Islam Mall. Okay, the land, okay, the owners, Deutsche Bank was there. They have a meeting with us. At the same time, with their, okay, the management that is, okay, Pantry. Okay, we have a meeting together regarding some of the tenant, this and that. And by the way, the information is they're very, very happy the performance of Eastern Mall. Yeah, they say, they say.
Told us it's their best property.
Correct. There's the best property they convert. Okay, and they're very happy about the performance. Okay, and there's a lot of tenants didn't asking for, okay, the forbearance. So meaning they still pay rent during the pandemic. So that's very impressive. So meaning Eastern Mall doing pretty good, and we even have a meeting, okay, and with Sprout, okay, talking about potential, okay, come to our city, the second one. So we talk about that. Okay, so hopefully we can have a chance to bring the second Sprout into West Covina, and we talking to a couple of, okay, and our shopping center owner. Okay, they were there too. Okay, so it's
M&A Gabe about continuing the project adjacent to BKK and getting the road going and helping us potentially expand the parking.
Yeah, so can you believe it? We, in that 4 or 5 hours, we have talking for almost everybody, almost the people we needed, okay, is over there. So it's a good opportunity because this is an international shopping center, council of shopping center is like everybody will be there, okay, and with all the big gun, and with everybody want to share information, try to buy or sell something. So this is a good opportunity for us to go over there, and I don't have a good night's sleep because, okay, it's just...
Yeah, it was kind of tough. We got
very tough, okay, and now we have to do this. But other than that, we feel like mission complete, okay, and we very proud, and I want to thank again for, okay, and our assistant manager, Paulina, okay, she was prepared. She really over there and take out all the, okay, pictures regarding the city and showing and introduce our city, and we over here as her sidekick, okay, and we have our badge, so we're talking about we come from city council, and then we have a city manager. So it's a good team, and I'm very proud. Thank you so much, Mayor. Okay, this is a good experience, and I think hopefully one good, okay, Grand Hotel, okay, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 continue come, so we can have all this TOT tax. That's a 10 to 15%, 100% city kid who can use that money to do a lot of program. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And do we have any city council requests?
I have a comment. Okay, just follow what okay, and Bill say, talking about the Christmas celebration, early Christmas celebration of Filipino American, okay, festival in West Covina with this food service, with this food festival, and then we have so many people waiting in the line for the food, okay, and it's extremely successful, and they say they want to come back again and again. And we know Filipino American like to party, so we're going to provide, okay, a facility for them to continue to come back, okay, and continue to party, okay, and then we continue to receive some revenue, okay, and so we can update and okay, upgrade our sportplex, and hopefully, and we have more other, okay, requests from other group, okay, we come to do event, possible wine tasting, food festival, 626, anything, but we need to resolve the parking issue, okay, the parking is a nightmare, okay, so hopefully we can, with okay, Charles Company on the top, and all this, okay, we can put temporary parking for maybe 500. So in that way, we can make our sportplex maybe will be more usable for other people to book the place. So, okay, this is go ahead.
So if we could get an update from our engineers who are helping us assess, I think that would help us move it along. And also, you know, I'd like to mention and remind us, as Bill Robinson did earlier, today's the 80th anniversary that we're observing the attack on Pearl Harbor, so let's remember that day. And are there any other city council comments?
Okay, last one I want to mention about median. Okay, and hopefully we can. I know. Okay, the some of the light. Okay, is kind of not too bright. Okay, hopefully we can do improvement. And I can see. Okay, the conservation groups coming back to starting planting the flower. I don't know. This weather is a good weather to plant. Okay, but then maybe they're more professional. But the light on Azusa, and hopefully in no time we can make this happen. It's the holiday season. We want to brighten people's feeling, the holiday spirit, okay, especially during the pandemic. Give people hope and happiness, okay, and be more confident and productive to help each other, okay, as neighbors.
Thank you, Councilman Wu. Any further comments? Well, thank you all for being here and whoever stayed. And with that, our meeting's adjourned.
Congratulations, Mayor.
Thank you.
Your first meeting.
First meeting.
Good job.